morning, everybody. Brock and Salk Show, Seattle Sports 710, seattlesports.com, Seattle Sports app, podcast platforms. You know it, the whole deal. They're all there, all the podcast platforms. Thanks for being with us this morning. The return of Jeff Passan today. Looking forward to that. Jeffrey will be with us at 8:30. We'll do a little answer the question jerk today. We'll continue on with Brock's draft profiles leading up to the draft. And I think I'll start here. Our friend Brady Henderson is going to join us at 7:30 from the owners' meetings. Brady is there, and I think I know what I want to ask him about. I think I know where I want to start with Brady. Yes, I'll get to the Mariners in a minute. You know what happened. I'm not going to make a huge deal out of a game where the starter gets blown out. Like, those happen. We'll move on. I'll talk more about it. There is some interesting stuff from yesterday's game. I'm not going to ignore it, but it's not going to get 4 hours of ranting and raving. They scored 6 runs. Those runs don't really mean a whole lot because they come once you're down by a lot. The pitcher didn't have it. Sometimes that happens. You got to bounce back and do it the next day. So, yes, I know it occurred. I will talk about it, but it's not going to be the whole driving focus of the show. I did find this, though, very interesting from our friend, Mr. Henderson. So this is Brady on yesterday with Wyman and Bob. We had a little mix-up. So Brady's going to join us twice in about 24 hours or less, which is fine. Brady's that good. We don't care. But he said this, and I had not heard this necessarily. He is talking to Dave and Bob about DK and kind of where he's at right now. The first 20 seconds or so is not particularly noteworthy, but what he said afterwards, I think, is.
Let's say DK Metcalf, for instance, he's obviously a better receiver than, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and I would say he's a better receiver at this point of their careers than Cooper Kupp. But what does that look like when, you pay a guy who's been unhappy for the last few years? And, from what I understand, that trade request that DK Metcalf made, before the start of free agency, that was not the first time that he's requested a trade.
All right, hold on. I'm going to keep going. I paused it. Really? Did you know that?
No.
That feels like new information to me. I'm not surprised by it necessarily. It doesn't shock me. But hearing that that's the first time DK Metcalf requested a trade, or not the first time he had requested a trade, that's new information. Kind of takes my mind in two ways. One, yeah, if a guy is unhappy, I can see why you would trade him or move on, right? But two, I guess, and part of that first one is also God, I wonder what that was like inside the building over the last couple years, maybe even just the last year, as DK was that unhappy. It certainly backs up some of what we've heard about his unhappiness, about some of the volatility, and about his relationship, not just with the coaches, but also specifically with his quarterback. Yeah, it backs up a lot of what I'd heard, but I had not heard that. That is certainly new. The other part of it, though, is it sheds a little bit more light to me on John Schneider saying, the question I was asking a couple weeks ago of why John keeps telling everybody that'll listen that these guys wanted out, as opposed to, yeah, we were done with them, so we moved on. If it were me, as I've said before, and I were John Schneider, I'd be like, yeah, we're done. I didn't want those guys. I wanted these other guys. I wanted to move in a different direction. Instead of spending X on my wide receiver, I wanted to use that money, divide it up, and do A, B, and C. Instead of spending $40 million plus a year on an aging quarterback who's not going to go to a Super Bowl, I decided it was time to spend less on a younger player and try to move that position forward. Those are the things I would be saying if I were John Schneider. But he's made it quite a point to say, they wanted out. We wanted them both back. We offered them both deals, but they wanted out. And I've been trying to figure out why. Remember, I started a show a couple weeks ago asking you guys specifically that question, and you guys had some good answers, and Brock had some good answers. Everyone's had good answers to the question. But this, I think, leads me to another possibility, which is, yeah, John's saying it because it's true, but also if it's not the first time they've asked, this is the first time he's granted the request. And that, to me, is a little bit more taking ownership of the move. Well, yeah, they've asked. They asked this time, but guess what? They asked last year too. Okay. So what was different this time than the other? You were right. You were ready to move on this time. Now you start to take some more ownership in the process, which I think is a good sign. Anyway, let me let Brady finish.
And from my understanding, that's happened several times over the past few off seasons. And so, I think the question is, would you want to give a third contract to a player, deal with the inherent risk in doing so, and also deal with a guy who's been unhappy? And by the way, being unhappy several years ago when he was still fresh into that contract, that tells me that, his unhappiness wasn't always necessarily related to how much money he was making. And if that's the case, then giving him a new contract, I don't know if that necessarily solves the problem.
All right, so that is definitely, in my mind, a new way of looking at this offseason. And so, obviously, we'll ask Brady more about that at 7:30. I'll talk about it with Brock a little bit this morning as well. There's some other stuff from John yesterday, and I'll play some Brady sound coming up in Need to Know. That again, it's this one sort of nagging thing that's driving me a little crazy. So that's a little bit of football to start the show today. On the baseball side of things, I kind of gave you a brief synopsis of how I feel about what I saw yesterday. I do like the text I got just as the show was starting this morning, asking if it was already time to start panicking and/or talking about people's jobs. Well, no, it's probably not the time to do that. After what are we at now? 5 games. They're 2-3. Yeah, 5 games. That's probably not job time. Probably not. I did enjoy. Did you see G tweeting about the Mariners yesterday, which is fine, but then also
I missed that.
He was tweeting about the Mariners and then was like, the A's are losing 16-3 or whatever the heck the score was yesterday, and I don't know why he was tweeting about that. Maybe it was trying to. I'll ask him when he comes in because I'm sure he'll come bopping on in here with a lot to say. I'll ask him. Maybe he was just trying to point out, Oakland in their new building and what that was like in Sacramento, but somehow I doubt that. It feels like he's trying to make the point of now look at how bad Oakland really is, and they're losing in this. Dude, that's football. I don't know what to tell you. That's just not baseball. How a team does in one game is indicative of exactly zero in this sport. You got to look at it obviously over a stretch of time. 5 games, not enough, especially when you're 2-3. But yesterday stunk. Right? I mean, that. All of that being said, was it easy to watch that yesterday? No, of course not. Right? They get down in the first inning, and you feel like it's over before it started. Yeah, you come good at bats. They score 6 runs, which is good. I'd rather see them score 6 runs than roll over and die. Great. I am happy about that. You shouldn't be rolling over and dying here in the first week of the season. But baseball is funky. If he gets out of if Emerson Hancock gets out of the first inning and gives up 3 runs instead of 6, which could have happened, but if he gives up 3 runs instead of 6, you think the game is exactly the same? You think you see the parade of low leverage relievers that you see after that? Of course not. Dan plays that game totally differently, right? You don't see the combination of Saucedo, Snyder, Vargas, and Bizzardo the rest of the way. You might see some of those guys, don't get me wrong, it's early in the game, but it's played a little differently. By the way, guess who else plays it differently? The Tigers. They're going to play that game with a lot higher leverage relievers and play it very differently if they're winning. So, I don't know. I try not to get too wrapped up in final scores of baseball games because I'm not sure they're really all that important or all that indicative. But you start adding together and dropping enough games, and it's going to, create a problem here even in April. April 1st today, by the way. So be aware. Be aware of all of the April Fool's jokes that could be on the way.
I feel like we should come up with one for Brock.
Yeah? Something about women's basketball or something.
Us to start the game.
Tell him that Haley Van Lith is gonna start she's already coming back for a 6th season in college basketball and see if he loses his mind over it. Anyway, is it time to start talking about people's jobs? No. Is there stuff that's bothering me? Yeah, there is. There's a lot that's bothering me. Saw another Polanco attempt to throw the ball from third base, and it didn't go particularly well. The infield defense is an atrocity. I saw, some decent at-bats, credit where it's due, and Dan was talking about it after the game. But, it's a little bit easier to have good at bats when you're down big and the other team's pumping in fastballs. And once again, the struggles they have with runners in scoring position. Lyle sent this over last night. The numbers before the Cal home run, which got them to 5 for 30, 4 for 29 with runners in scoring position through 5 games.
Oh, I counted the Cal home run.
You did?
It was 3 for 28 before the Cal home run.
Excuse me. Oh, all right. After the Cal home run, it got to 4 for 29. Not going to get it done. Right? I mean, that's not going to do it, especially with all of the talk about the approach, and it's going to change the runners in scoring position. Well, the worst at bats I saw last night were in those moments. They had a couple of moments to turn that game. The biggest being in the 6th inning, right? They had a moment there. If Rowdy Teller hits a home run or drives in a runner and gets the thing, you're back in the game. You got a chance to, and the Tigers at that point are, as we know, it's can be real hard after you've watched a team come all the way back. You had a 6-run lead and you give it up, and now all of a sudden it's at that point, what would it have been, 8-6, 8-7, maybe even 8-8. Oh my gosh, you got them on the ropes. You got all the momentum. That is a hard thing to deal with. Instead, Dan goes lefty on lefty and allows both Raley and Teller to hit? Why? You got righties on the bench. You got Mitch Garver. In what world are those guys? Why?
Yeah, Mitch Garver has a career 860 OPS against left-handed pitching.
What is Rowdy Teller?
Much lower than that.
It's bizarre. I'll play you a sound because he did talk about it after the game. We'll play you the sound, and he has an explanation. I'm not sure I'm fully buying it, but it's coming up next on Brock and Salk.
The John Schneider Show.
With Wyman and Bob.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
When you guys bring in free agents, then they leave and you don't sign them, probably unique to each one. But is it just something you learn in that conversation and you go, okay?
Yeah, a lot of different reasons. It could be medical, it could be personality, financial, how they're going to be a fit in the building, how much they love football, what kind of worker are they. There's a whole interview process that I don't want to give out, actually.
Hear the rest of this interview on demand at seattlesports.com and on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Superior Linen Service will help your company with logoed apparel, uniforms, floor mats, linen, and more. Give us a call. We answer the phone. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do. Visit suplinen.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Asset Roofing was founded with the aim of shielding the community from liabilities that may arise from hiring a contractor. Bob Stelton here, and I love their slogan. You're either hiring an asset or you're hiring a liability. Now, I've been there, and you probably have too. Hiring a contractor that showed up late, delivered shoddy work, or went over budget. Asset Roofing is the opposite of a bad contractor. Their business model is to deliver honest and transparent solutions, becoming a valuable asset for both clients and their communities. Now, I experienced it firsthand when I met Anthony, the owner, and then again when I had him do work on my roof. Now, these guys are the best in the business, and I highly recommend Asset Roofing to local homeowners. Now, this spring, replace your aging roof with Asset Roofing. Ask them about their specialty, metal roofs. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Check them out at assetroofingco.com. That's assetroofingco.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Stream every Seattle sports show with the Seattle Sports app. Brought to you by Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center Proton Therapy. Get new videos, podcasts, and articles on the Seahawks and Mariners from your favorite Seattle sports personalities daily.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
So it was the fourth quarter and we're down by 5. Sweat pouring down my face. Suddenly it hit me. If only I could wrap part of the towel around my forehead. And that's how I became the first basketball player to wear a headband.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Well, here we are again, and I got to tell you, Jim, this match has me really concerned.
Here we have a powerful heavyweight, a train, weighing in at 6,000 tons. And this hasty lightweight challenger, a car, at just 1.5 tons?
This does not bode well for the car, or the people in it.
It's no contest. Every day, people are injured or killed trying to beat a train at rail crossings. See tracks, think train.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
To me, the LJ way is to provide an experience that people really enjoy being a part of. And they enjoy being a part of it because they're getting great service. They're talking with somebody that actually they feel cares about them. They care about what their impression is going to be walking away. It's also understanding you're now part of our family, and thank you for doing the business with us. And this is how we're going to show our appreciation through customer service. We're going to show our appreciation with taking care of you if you ever have an issue. Majority of the people that are coming to see us are within our community. These are people who are providing maybe services that we also use in our community. So the LJ way, to me, somebody can come into a retail setting and not feel like they got to have their guard up. And that's been a long-standing thing in the car business that, we've tried to shake.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Ugly start for the Mariners last night. Emerson Hancock giving up 6 runs in the first inning while recording just 2 outs. That makes for an 81 ERA, but even more importantly, put a huge stress on the bullpen, which needed to account for 25 outs in the first game of a tough series. That was handled. Saucedo, Snyder, Vargas, Bizzardo, which at least allowed them to keep their 4 highest leverage relievers available for tonight's game. But yeah, just not a very good one for the Mariners. They lose 9-6. There was a little bit of offense generated. Arozarena had a home run. Raley had a home run. Cal had a home run. So they do get to 6. But, Emerson Hancock afterwards, understandably upset with himself.
Yeah, I think super frustrated just because, I didn't do my part in helping us get a win. I kind of put us too big of a hole early on, and I just didn't give us a chance at all, especially just to kind of get off that bad of a start. And I got to execute better. I have to, find a way to get out of that inning. That way we can get out and, maybe get some more length out of that game, or, maybe you get into a rhythm and settle in later. But I didn't do my job.
All true. Meanwhile, I think a pretty big question of why Dan let 2 lefties hit against the lefty in the 6th inning when they did have an opportunity to get themselves back into the game. Here's what he said afterwards.
Yeah, it's different when it's early like that, and we got a long way to go, and that was the thinking there. And I think we saw from Rails a pretty good left-on-left at-bat, and, we saw great at-bats all night long.
6th inning? That's kind of your moment to get back into that game. You got a couple runners on, especially after Raley worked a walk, which was great. kind of like to see Mitch Garver pinch hitting in that spot for Rowdy Tellez. Instead, it doesn't go very well, and that's sort of the end of the threat. Mariners go to 2-3 on the season. They get 2 more against Detroit. Logan Gilbert up for start number 2 tonight. He'll go against Casey Mize before Getaway Day matinee tomorrow.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
It doesn't look like John Schneider's too enamored with any of the available offensive linemen left. Spoke at the owners' meetings and said probably wouldn't be until after the draft that they sign somebody, maybe a cap casualty guy or something like that. Says they brought in several, but it just hasn't been a fit. They like Jalen Sundell. They like Oluwatimi, but as Brady Henderson said yesterday, John says, I got to just play this for you, I guess. Here is John, or Brady, rather.
We are 3 or so weeks into free agency, so the guys that you would be able to get at this point, I don't know if there's a guy out there who, you would sign anyway right now who would come in and be a starter. I think that the caliber of players left at this point are guys that, at best, you would maybe sign to come in and compete for a starting job. And so if that's the case, and if the price for offensive linemen is inflated just because there's not that many of them, then I see where they're coming from, especially because, as you mentioned,
I see where they're coming from now. No one is sitting here now saying sign one of the crappy leftovers. That's not the point. Yeah, maybe the price was inflated. You put yourself in a position where that's what you needed to pay. Oh my gosh, who cares about now? Yeah, all right, now you shouldn't sign an offensive lineman. What about then? When will now be then? Soon. Unbelievable. Anyway, Bill Barnwell had an interesting thought, I thought. Trading number 18 pick to Cleveland for the Pro Bowl guard, Wyatt Teller. Top 10 pick, the top pick, rather, in the second round, and the third pick in the third round. Would you make that move? I would.
Yes.
You're only going back from 18 to 33, and then you trade a second, you also add a third-round pick? That feels like a lot. And you get Wyatt Teller?
I'd do that.
I'd do that in a second. Why wouldn't you do that? For the number 18 pick, you get a Pro Bowl guard who you do have to pay significant amount of money, and you get back a second and third? Yeah, I would do that in a flash. He seems like a dude and exactly what you would want.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Kraken lose again to Dallas again with an early 1-goal lead again. This time, Capo Caco scoring his 14th, setting a personal best for points in a season, so kudos to him. But then they gave up 2 goals in 45 seconds, and they lose. They now have 7 games left to play. Paige Beckers and UConn doing damage last night.
Beckers letting the clock wind here. Strong turns, dishes, Beckers again.
Yeah, she was awesome. UConn beats USC. Too bad Juju wasn't playing. It would have been great to see the two of them up against each other. So UConn back in the Final Four again. Texas beats TCU, and that means Haley Van Lit's college career comes to a close, but I guess not again. That is everything you need to know. 15:15 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. All right, let me, quick break, come back. Ryan Divish gave us a tremendous amount of information and opinion yesterday on why the Mariner roster looks the way it does. Stick around. You'll hear it next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy. Weekdays 10 to 2.
Abe Luke is going to be the most important player on this offense. Why? Because when he is available and he is playing, him and Charles Cross are going to hold it down. It's all about keeping the band together. And the band has been split up a lot over the past couple of years, right? We saw rookies play tackle. We saw rookies play guard. But when Abe and Charles Cross are playing together, those bookends hold it down. It's Abe Lucas, man.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
All right, it's Mike Salk here, and you got to get ready because Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel has their award-winning summer concert series back again this year. Some sweet artists. Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and P.O.D. is going to be in town as well, all overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley. At snocasino.com, you can find tickets. You know Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BODY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BODY to 321-321. That's BODY to 321-321.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Hi, this is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. Spring has sprung. Need color to brighten up your yard or privacy trees to keep your neighbors guessing? Now is the time to buy. With hundreds of trees arriving in the nursery daily, Big Trees has the perfect tree for you. Check out our updated inventory list online at bigtreesupply.com or come visit the nursery today.
No matter how old you get, you always remember that one great teacher. Hi, this is Rick Riz, inviting you to join WSECU in celebrating Teacher of the Week. Great teachers inspire. Nominate a teacher you feel has changed a life in our community. This year, we're going to honor 24 great teachers with grants of $500, courtesy of WSECU, the credit union for Washington. Teachers are the real MVPs. Nominate an exceptional teacher now at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
March is here, and Toyota of Renton and Toyota of Kirkland have teamed up to take away your car buying madness. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, they have the widest selection of new and certified used inventory and the largest savings in the region. Now that's a slam dunk. The all-star staff at Toyota of Renton and Kirkland will assist you with a test drive, and you can score that car the very same day. Come see for yourself or visit online at toyotaofrenton.com or toyotaofkirkland.com.
I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after turning 40, I noticed my libido just wasn't what it used to be. That's when I reached out to Revive Health. Their team knew exactly what I needed, which is why today, my wife and I are both more satisfied than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMensHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMensHealth.com/privacy-policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMensHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Quite the weekend for the Mariners. Could have been worse. Could have been better. That's for sure. They go 2-2, despite being outscored 14-8 by the A's. Ryan Divish was there for all of it, and he joins us now. Seattle Times baseball reporter Ryan Divish. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Can you, when Benetti does his 3 favorite football players, can he do it in his Brock impersonation? Because it's one of my favorite things in the world when he talks about relationships. And, you feel this. I love it when he does that little run that Brock, the rhythm and the runs that Brock speaks on. He's like one of those women.
What?
That,
How?
One of those,
what do you mean?
One of those dudes that overperforms on American Idol. On the during the very beginning, and they have all those crazy runs. That's how Brock talks.
Divish, curious minds need to know. We understand you're outside of the dentist. Are you a sedation dentistry guy like the Graz? What are you?
No, this is just a cleaning, hopefully. But yeah, it's the dentist is never fun. In a longer story once, I'd never had a cavity in my life. I'd never had any major dental work. And then I managed to hit myself in the face with a titanium driver in a fit of rage, and had to have an emergency root canal and chip 3 other teeth. So,
how'd that happen?
I don't think crown counts as sedation, Brock. I don't know whether that's sedation dentistry. That's last night's crown doesn't count.
How do you hit yourself in the face with your own driver?
Yeah, my own driver. I was having a temper tantrum. And I went to slam the driver in my bag at the back of the cart, and it caught the strap and then snapped up and hit me in the face. I also got, I think, 6 stitches out of it.
So when Kelnick had his little incident a couple of years ago, you were kind of like, yeah, I get it. I'm kind of there with him.
Yeah, I mean, there are parts of Jared that I'm very similar to, and there's parts of Cal that I'm very similar to. But yeah, I understood when Jared had his meltdown what happened.
Before we talk about the weekend, let's spend a minute on Cal, because, that was sort of the story of last week leading into opening day. And then obviously, he had his meeting with the media this weekend, got a little teary eyed. He had his teammates there to kind of bust his chops. Why is Cal here for the next 6 years?
That's a good question. I think Cal feels ownership in this team and where it's going and what it could be. He's played a large part in getting it to the playoffs 2 years ago. And I think his relationship with this area, with the team, the ownership that he feels, the responsibility that he feels, he is one of the most responsible human beings I've ever been around, because I am one of the least responsible human beings you'll ever find. Just that level of responsibility he feels to this area, the fan base, the organization, it's kind of off the charts. And I think when he left Boris Corp and went with his agent to XL, I think a pathway opened up. And I think Cal is so no nonsense. He doesn't want that kind of drama and all this. He just wants to play baseball. And I think he wants some level of comfort. But I do think he does feel like a responsibility to help kind of push this thing forward when maybe a lot of people expected it to fall apart here in the next 2 or 3 years with everybody leaving in free agency.
It's interesting, and this position well, that catcher position. Wasn't Zunino many of those things? A dad in baseball, that ownership, just a kind of a professional mentality and discipline, and unfortunately just kind of had a massive hole in his swing that could never really get fixed. Haven't we kind of gone and had a couple catchers in that vein over the last 10-plus years?
Yeah, I mean, Zunino was a breath of fresh air when he came here, just in the sense of defense. I mean, watching the defensive deficiencies of the Mariners catchers leading up to Mike Zunino, we once joked that the grounds crew had to continually resawed the path that Miguel Olivo made running back to get the ball all the time because he couldn't catch it.
Was it Olivo that Dave Niehaus called the golden retriever?
Yeah, I believe so, yes. And it wasn't like Jeff Clement, Rob Johnson, Kenji Jojima, Adam Moore were any better. Zanino just wasn't quite as complete as Cal. Cal's hit tool is a little bit better. I mean, like, you look at it, though, Zanino was never, he hit, I think his best year with the Mariners, I think he hit 226. Cal has commands similarly with the presence that he has and such. But I do think there is growth, or there is room for Cal to be a little bit more offensively than Zanino ever could be. I think, talking with Cal, I wrote that big story. One of the things he does want to cut down on his strikeouts some and just continue to grow as a hitter, believing that he isn't, nobody wants to hit 220. And yes, you love the homers, but he believes he can still hit the 30 homers while being a better overall hitter and hitting better with runners in scoring position and all those things. I mean, this is a guy that was second in the league in framing metrics in 2023 and redid it all and went and visited Austin Hedges, the guy who beat him, so he could beat him in 2024 and have the best framing metrics. So Cal's not going to be satisfied with his status quo no matter what, and I think people who've been around him know that. So, yeah, it was a big week for the Mariners. You get the streaming thing out, you get the Cal extension signed. Like, there's plenty to criticize the Seattle Mariners about and the ownership and everything else, but those two things are pretty good things for the organization and for the fan base.
Well, we'll get to the weekend here. Last thing on Cal there. Have you seen a player admired by his clubhouse as much as Cal in your years covering this team?
No, I haven't. I mean, the respect level that he has, and this started 2 years ago, I think, and 2 or 3 years ago, if you recall, when he hit the homer in 2022, he was sent down that year. Mm-hmm. He was optioned out, and it took Tom Murphy getting hurt for him to get called back up, and he kind of put it all together. But I think when he played with the thumb injury and the torn ligaments, and people were seeing what he was going through on a daily basis just to get out there, and never complained and never asked for time off and played pretty much every day behind the plate, I think players respected that. All of a sudden, certain players didn't manage to not really get it, but most of the players on that team saw this guy, putting himself through hell just to get out there and perform because something more mattered to him than just how he felt. And that respect level was built. But yeah, that was fun. I mean, like, watching those guys, and you've talked to Cal, that Bryce drives him insane, probably more than Logan. His favorite thing is Bryce isn't that interesting. He says the same four things every day, and it usually involves the word howdy. He's like, why do you guys love him so much?
He got it pretty good, I thought, yesterday or Friday, whatever that was. It was a pretty good question I thought he asked. So let's dig into the weekend. 4 games. It does not a season make. It doesn't a sample size make. But is it a little bit more fair to judge based on the fact that it's the same lineup and roster basically as last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's Daniel Kramer at one point looked at me, just had this exasperated look. He said, I've written this story 100 times last year. We're going to do this again. And that is the same thing. I think people believing that Dan Wilson is going to run a game that much differently than Scott, or the belief system and what he has, or how they do things. No, I mean, like, the same principles still apply. Of all the things that Dan really preached was just a different hitting philosophy, or at least a different mindset when you went to the plate. And that was, based on what Edgar wanted. The pieces are all still the same, and you can preach stay up the middle all you want. When they're in the box and they're battling, the last thing they're worried about is, oh my God, if I don't stay up the middle, Dan's going to be mad at me. These players are pros and they've been in the league a long time. They're going to do what they want to do. I think for me, the biggest difference this year compared to last year is the mechanics of the infield and how they're trying to do stuff. And really, if you think about it, last year they were piecing it together for a lot of the season. The tandem of Rojas and Urias, or the platoon of Rojas and Urias, that really didn't pan out early. And then, they were kind of moving things around. They weren't planning to play Josh Rojas that much at third base. So, like, the mechanics of how they use the infield, and, a year ago at this time, they were using Mitch Haniger in right field almost every day. They have their 3-set outfielders. So how Dan uses the players and the roster to kind of best get the best results. That's probably the biggest difference. I mean, the players are who they are, and I think the faults and the possibilities for struggle we've seen over this first 4 games, and we've also seen the potential. Like the first night where they won the game and they struck out 7 times and walked 7 times, you're like, okay, I can see how they want to get there. I can see how they could have success. And then the next night they go out and they face Jeffrey Springs, who has a great changeup, and they cannot hit lefty changeups for whatever reason. And he strikes out a bunch of guys on 2 strikes with the lefty changeup that they know is coming, and they don't have the discipline to not swing at it. So it's like that's the yin and the yang of this team. And really, it's hard to know what we're going to see more. We're going to see more like the first night. They see more like the second night, or even yesterday with Sears. Like this team should be better against righties than they are, and they really struggle against lefties better than they are, and they just for whatever reason do not do well against left-handed pitching.
It's funny you bring up the infield. I mean, it's not funny, but you bring up the infield deployment, and that's actually been one of the most frustrating things for me in thinking about not just the roster construction, but even then the rollout. Like, you know, Lyle brought up earlier that Dylan Moore didn't help Polanco out much on a throw from third to first. And my immediate thought is Dylan Moore should be playing third while Polanco should be playing first. Like, I'm kind of confused by the way the whole defensive infield has come together.
Yeah, I am too. And I think you throw Rowdy Tellez in the mix. Like they weren't anticipating, I think, having Rowdy Tellez on the roster, even when they signed him to the minor league deal. But the Haniger injury and just kind of how things played out in the spring, Tellez is on there. Now your roster is set up with you have 2 left-handed hitting first basemen, and Rowdy is a better defensive player than Luke Raley. He has actually really soft hands. He's got a body by mozzarella stick, but he's still a really good defensive first baseman. But like Luke is not as strong over there, but we didn't see Luke play very much either. Like when he's at DH, like you want Luke Raley in games, so he's on the bases and creating havoc a little bit as well. And so that whole thing kind of mixes up a little bit. And I really thought, honestly, and from what I was told, that like early in the season, especially, they know Polanco's not great there. They know he didn't have the requisite amount of reps at third base to get ready because of the knee issue. I figure we would see Dylan Moore late in games at third base. I thought he would be the defensive replacement, especially when you have a lead to do that. I mean, part of it is that Polanco's their only consistent hitter, so they want to get him as many plate appearances as possible. But I figure we would see Dylan Moore at third base. And, that's the other part of the roster is Mastrobuoni is not a great third baseman. You have Leo Rivas, who's the best defensive infielder on the 40-man roster down in Tacoma playing. So could we in a week or two see them swap out Mastrobuoni for Leo Rivas? I know you want Ben Williamson, and I want to point out I had a man crush on Ben Williamson before you did. I think it would be
equally square faces, equally wide square faces. You guys look eye to eye, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like,
are you calling me a Ben Williamson poser? Is that what you're calling me?
No,
I just jumped on late.
I'm just saying.
Or are you saying that you are a Ben Williamson hipster?
No, I was a Ben Williamson believer before you were. Yes, I like Ben Williamson. Big square head like mine.
Yep.
Head the size that would actually fit Brock's eye space. When you have a head that big. But no, I think it would be a disservice to bring him up right now. You mentioned Zunino and bringing somebody up before they're ready and what that can do to their approach and their swing. But Williamson isn't as strikeout prone as Zunino was even coming out of college. But like somebody says, well, we just need him to hit 150 like everyone else, and we'll take the defense. Yeah, but it isn't how you get to 150. I think that's the biggest thing with the Mariners. It's not just about the batting average; it's the strikeouts. Like against Spring or against Osvaldo Badeau the other night, where that guy didn't know where it was going, and they walked 6 times or 4 times and got hit twice. Every time they had runners on, they struck out. And that's the bigger problem is like if Ben Williamson comes up and strikes out a whole bunch, then the 150 doesn't matter if you're striking out all the time with runners on base. So to me, like, let the kid play, see if he can help you down the road, give him a month in AAA. He's played less than 150 minor league games. They got to fix it within. Now, Polanco, everybody makes a big deal about the double bounce throw. He was trying to do what they want him to do. He just executed poorly. My bigger problem is he bounced 2 throws on routine grounds at Perry Hill, or ground balls that Perry Hill labels in the box, where they're routine plays, you don't have to do much. balls where he had to take one step to his left, one step to his right, had all the time to set up, he still bounced them over. And then he almost airmailed one over Rowdy's head. I mean, Rowdy had to get off the bag and grab it. There has been no happy medium. And to me, even then, also not calling off Cal and calling Snyder, that cost them a run. Snyder was probably most at fault because he believed that a pitcher is an athlete and should leave the mound and catch something. No, you do not. Especially when, large dumper is right there. Don't get the hell out of the way. I mean, did you see the look on Cal's face when Snyder hit him and tried to catch the ball and dropped it? Cal turned around, and I was like, yeah, there's going to be hell to pay for that. But Polanco, that's Polanco's ball. He's the one running in. It's in front of him. He has to call everyone off. But you can see the tentativeness of Jorge Polanco in the field. He's uncertain, and it's partially because he doesn't have the reps. He couldn't take ground balls every day. I'll say this. Like, Josh Rojas got better last year defensively compared to what he was at the start of spring training. Because I remember watching the first week and a half of spring training, and it was Rojas over at third, and then Urias couldn't throw at that point, and then he couldn't really field either. So it was just like, he was just like a blocking sled out there taking balls off the chest. And I kind of looked at Shanna like, this is the worst defense I've ever seen. But Rojas got better and better and better and was able to, turn into a pretty good defensive infield. I don't know that Polanco can get to Rojas's level, but he hasn't been healthy enough to get the reps to do it. So like you said, him being out there 3 times at third base, playing the entire game without a defensive replacement, I guess he went to second to 1 inning, where he's not great at either. I think that's an issue. They have to figure out a way where he's not costing runs late and causing issues. It's just it can't be like every time a ground ball's hit over there that you're worried. I mean, and it's not just like people are talking about the arm strength. Kyle Seager didn't have a good arm. He had a noodle for an arm, but he caught everything. He had the right footwork to get rid of it quick and make the play. And I think that's what Polanco has to do. But there's just not a lot of confidence there. And I mean, like you're looking, I'll say this, we thought Ryan Bliss was subpar defensively. He made all the plays this weekend. Now they didn't look pretty on all of them on the routine ones, and that's the ones I think he's going to struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
But, make the plays. And I think that's the one thing people don't get is the play Polanco bounced the ball twice. It was 20% chance success rate. My bigger issues were not making or bouncing balls on the routine plays and then not overrunning that ball on that blooper behind Saucedo. You got to pick the ball up. Whatever you do, you have to pick the ball up so the guy doesn't score.
How about
let JP grab it?
How about a positive from this weekend? I'll throw it out there, and that is Gregory Santos, who you called the idea of Gregory Santos on our show at some point last year, and you were absolutely right. He never really materialized into much more than that. Based on what you saw in his 2 outings this weekend, is there the potential for him to be more than just the idea this year?
Yeah, I mean, he looked really pretty good yesterday. He got the 3 ground balls. Almost killed a guy. But, I can honestly see him, in Major League, ripping the head off the mannequin, when he's warming up. Yeah, I mean, that's big to have him. I was pretty stunned, when Dan went to Munoz with the top of the – or went to Thornton with the top of the order coming up instead of Munoz. Thornton got out of it, and that dude is crazy and insane and, a little strange, which I like about him. But having Santos ready to go as well, I think that's a good weapon to have. One, because he gets ground balls. Everybody thinks he's a strikeout guy because he throws so hard, but he gets ground balls. You get him in, and you have to bring him in with a runner on first base. You can get a double play ball out of him, similar to what Topa used to do and some of those other guys. Mm-hmm. So that's a big development. I thought Gabe Spire looked pretty good. When you see Matt Brash and Troy Taylor in the big league clubhouse and they're going out on a rehab assignment, they're going to go start pitching in real games, and you're thinking to yourself 2 weeks from now, you could have both of them. It changes the dynamic of your bullpen. You're not having Carlos Vargas in there and, whoever else they may send out, Bizardo, or they may send out Saucedo. They have some real dudes coming back. And then, 2 or 3 weeks after those guys get back, you could be getting Trevor Gott and Jackson Kolar back as well. And then you have something more than what you have right now. I think they know they kind of have to piece it together until Brash and Taylor get back. But once you get those guys back, then you can really manipulate the situations and what you want to do.
You know what's really cool, Salk? They could have a Ben Williamson Believer Night and it could be both a bobblehead and a Funko with Divish and Williamson. Like, you don't know if it's a bobblehead or a Funko doll. It can be both. What do you think?
Or else they could put Salk's body on the Funko and then have like a Chia Pet hair coming out of the shoulders and the neck.
All right, that's very unnecessary. How dare you take those sort of shots? That's
hey, can I ask you? Can I ask you a question that you get on your social media a bunch? I'm sure on our text story we've seen a lot today. At what point, Ryan, do you think, if guys continue to struggle hitting and everything else, you start to see a youth movement? Do we start to see Cole Young this year? I mean, we joke about Williamson and everything else, Tyler Locklear. If these guys are all hitting at the AAA level, because I know a lot of the fans are like, can we just see something new? Even Daniel Kramer, can I at least write a new story? Can I at least see if these former first and second round picks can actually kind of be difference makers for us as Oakland runs out 5 of their first round picks and they're all 22, 23, 24 years of age?
I mean, I guess, but I think that would be, if you're doing that, unless these guys are really, really producing at AAA and your guys at the big league level are really, really struggling, then you're waving the white flag on the season, aren't you? Because it's the unknown. You built this roster, regardless of whether people believe it, or I believe it, Mike or the fans believe it. Like, in that room and in T-Mobile, they built this roster believing they can compete for a playoff spot. And given the nature of the American League, you're talking probably about needing to win 85 to 86 games. Their pitching staff alone should get them 80 wins, the way they are. I mean, like last year, the main 5 guys started 149 games, and they only won 77 of them, which is, crazy to believe when you have the best pitching staff in baseball. But like, if you get 145 games out of your main 5 guys, George Kirby comes back and is better. I mean, to me, that should be 80 wins out of 145. And then how do you get the last 5? I mean, it would be difficult for me to believe that so many of these guys would be that bad that you would have multiple young guys come up. I mean, like, do I think we'll see Cole Young at some point? Yeah, of course I do. If he hits and Locklear may come up, you'll see them adjust. The one thing they do have is their bench players all have options, so they can move some guys around. But yeah, I think, to me, you're going to have to find ways to piece together offense, maybe that like you did last year. But I don't know that a youth movement is that good. I think people, and this is true in college recruiting, it's true of the love of the draft and everything else. People have an obsession with potential, what could be. Yep. When you're in the brunt of the season, or even in the first few months of the season, it's like, figure out how to fix it. It's not always a loft issue, as my coach would say about my catching skills, but fix it. Find a way. Like, these guys are established major leaguers, most of them. Find a way to be better than what you've been. I mean, like, I was mentioning this on when I talked to Lyle and TJ on their podcast last night that hasn't come out. But to me, when you say it's early, it's not about the wins and losses. Like, a lot of people say, well, it's just early. And people say, well, these games matter, the wins matter. That's not what you're talking about when you say it's early. It's like, it's early enough that the results you have, you believe in your mind that you can change them over the course of the next month or 2 months. Like, that this isn't the process, or this isn't the way you get these results, that you can change your offense, or you can fix things, you can improve. And I think that's what you need to see from the Mariners over the next 4 to 6 weeks, is are they going to improve? Are they trending in a way that you look at it and say, okay, this team is getting better. The Edgar approach is showing more dividends. You're hitting the ball hard, you're getting more results. Or, over the next 4 to 6 weeks, if you're not showing any improvement, if you're regressing, or if you're staying the same, that's when you make the difference. I think that's what happened to Scott Service last year. Is like, there was just too long of a prolonged stretch where everything kind of stayed the same or was regressing, and there was no signs of it getting better. And at that point, Jerry pulls the plug and tries to find a different voice.
That was Ryan Divish, who was kind enough to join us yesterday, and some very, I think, good thoughts, pointed thoughts on the way the season has gone and what people may be saying so far. Not going to overreact to a blowout loss yesterday, but I do think there is some conversation to be had about it. Brock's in. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob. Weekdays 2 to 7.
The Mariners making a move to lock up part of their core in Cal Raleigh. This is somebody you drafted, you developed, one of the great catchers in the game. You keep that guy around. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He's everything you'd want in a player. He's everything you'd hope when you draft a young player that they're going to turn into something close to this. And you got it.
Cal could probably get a lot more money on the open market, but he wants to stay here. I think Mariner fans are going to love him forever.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Rick Riz here for the Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington's Improve Your Play program. Many of our local youth sports teams need help with field enhancements, training, and equipment. Local Pella owners Keith Dashafy and Luke Wilson are stepping up to donate $5,000 to 2 deserving teams. We need your help finding them. Head to seattlesports.com/play to nominate a deserving team in need. Let's help our local youth improve their play this year with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Contest and rules at seattlesports.com/play.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name, it's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No, no place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Michelle Smallman here for the Capital One Venture X card. If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, you can earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn all of your purchases into extraordinary travel. And you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book through Capital One Travel. Plus, you'll get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See Capital CapitalOne.com for details.
Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Give me a freaking auto! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Marcus. Sorry about just Mike.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
Morning, Brock. Busy morning today, as we will have our friend Brady Henderson in 30 minutes. We'll have the return of Jeff Passan at 8:30 this morning. And, we got to answer the question jerk later. We got all kinds of fun stuff. How are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Was Passan the one that picked the Mariners to win the World Series? Was that? Did I
think that was
Jeff? That was not Jeff. Okay.
I think so. I don't remember that anyway.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I don't remember hearing anything about that. No.
Keith Law had him going pretty far, right? Was it him?
Keith had them going to the ALCS.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But they're 2-3, so that's obviously off the table now.
Yeah, they're done.
I think
they're just cooked.
They got beat up last night, so I think we could probably take that off the table.
Do you know the Tigers were 0-3, Salk? They were 0-3.
They were.
I mean, they're a terrible
and then the A's
baseball
got
team.
beat up last night too. So I think it's pretty clear that the Mariners are the worst team in baseball, and I think we've proven that now decisively. Now, look. Yeah. Frustrating, certainly, start to the season. This is, after all of the talk about we're going to come into April and
162 battles.
It has not necessarily felt like they've taken that mentality and run with it to start the year. But blowout baseball games are really hard for me to get too attached to. They stink when they're happening. It's usually best to turn them off. But there's not like a tremendous amount of information to be gleaned from it, right? Sometimes starting pitcher just doesn't have it. And that's what you had last night. I mean, he was terrible. What are you going to do? He had his stuff was bad and couldn't locate it.
Just be careful with him, okay? Because, I'm a psychology major.
Okay.
That's what I am. It's what I do.
Yes.
And I think it was abundantly clear to me down there in the desert that if there was one player that TJ and Lyle had the most affinity for. It was Emerson Hancock.
They do like them some Emerson.
They really. So just, when you throw these barbs out there about
Wasn't
Emerson,
a barb. It's not a barb. What do you mean barb?
Just know that it really hurts Lyle.
It's not a barb.
That's his guy.
Do you think Lyle thought that he had a good outing last night?
He threw hard.
He has an 81 ERA after 2.2 innings.
Did you see his velo? His velo was up.
I did see his velo, but his command was not up. It was down and in the wrong spot. And, he gave up 6 runs and only recorded, 2 outs. It was a bad outing. What are you going to do?
What's going to happen to you as you get older?
Me?
What's going to happen to you? You're going to get to the same way that I am. When your girls get a little bit older, when they are on the precipice of getting married, when they're becoming adults, like real life adults, like Haley called me yesterday, kind of in a semi-panic, like, I got this registration and licensing. Does it usually cost $400? Well, yeah. Yes. In some states, it's even double that.
Yeah.
It's actually the one thing in the state of Washington that's a little cheaper, about the only thing than any other state. But yeah,
really
sweetie,
funny.
like welcome to real life. These things. That's why you got to be careful about going shopping for a couple $100. Like these things are going to come up in your life. But when they do, and as my kids grow, who I was thinking about last night? Emerson Hancock's parents, Emerson Hancock's friends, not just Lyle and TJ, but Emerson Hancock's
but his real friends,
agents. Yeah.
Not just Lyle and TJ.
That's
his
right.
real friends.
His real friends.
Yeah.
And just like, man, what a bummer. It's just parents out there like, here's our son's chance, right? George is starting on the IR, might be out the whole month. He's going to come out the gate. He's been working his freaking tail off so hard. He's developing. He's throwing harder. He had a nice spring. He feels good about himself. And he can't get out of the first inning. And you're just like, oh, what a gut punch, for him and for friends and for family and for loved ones and for all the other people that you never really think of until you're almost 50 years old.
I agree with you. On the other hand, I think as a pitcher, not that you shouldn't take something from that, but I think that you're probably at times more frustrated by other types of outings than that one. He just didn't have his stuff. He just didn't have it. I mean, some days you just don't have it. It stinks that it was the first game he pitched this season. All of that kind of stinks. But, and I'm sure he is frustrated. He said, I know he would have liked to have gone deeper into the game. He would have liked to have helped the bullpen and not force them to get 25 out. I'm sure all that is frustrating to him, as it should be. But I hope he's not dwelling on it for more than a few minutes. You got to snap and clear and move on, flush all of that, because bad baseball games happen. Yeah. And often they're less telling than any other baseball game. And by the way, on both sides of it, I know they were impressed with the quality of the at-bats last night. I'm not as impressed. They had some good at-bats. I did. I liked a lot of the at-bats.
They gave themselves a bunch of chances,
by
the way.
But also,
it was another, what were they, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position? There were a couple chances there when it's 8-3, it's 8-4.
We're going to talk about that in a moment.
You get a big hit, you get to 8-6, or, you start to
get there, Brock. Give me a moment. We're going to get there, I promise.
All right.
I just want to first say that, down 6-0, you can get a lot of fastballs.
Yeah.
The quality of the at-bat changed, and I thought a lot of the good at-bats that they had did not come in those spots that you're talking about. Once there were runners on, the at-bat quality dropped as the quality of the pitching went back up. Because for the most part, when there are, when you got a big lead, pitchers should be just throwing strikes and trying to let you get yourself out. And then when they have to start working hard, they do. I didn't love the defense. Once again, you had a ball that fell in the triangle that kind of made my eyebrows rise just a little bit. Not whoa, they're dogging it, but just a little I don't like seeing that. Maybe it's just in the exact right spot, but I didn't. There were some couple of things like that where, I'm willing to snap and clear, but now you're putting a little pressure on yourself the next 2 games. You mentioned that there were a couple of moments in this game where it could have turned, and you're right. The biggest of those moments was in the 5th inning when they had a lefty on the mound, reliever, and Dan went with both of his lefties in a row. All right, fine. You want to say, okay, fine, Luke Raley, the first one, then he takes a walk. But now you got multiple runners on base, and you've got your DH up, the easiest person to pinch hit for. Why wouldn't you at that point go with Mitch Garver, who's literally here for that purpose? Divish asked Dan about it after the game.
Yeah, it's different when it's early like that, and we got a long way to go, and that was the thinking there. And I think we saw from Rails a pretty good left-on-left at-bat, and, we saw great at-bats all night long.
Yeah, I don't know. The 5th inning, yes, it's early in some games, but in this game where you had been down 6-0, and at that point I want to say the score was 8-2. I could be wrong, but I think it was 8-2, maybe somewhere, something like that. That's kind of your opportunity to get back in the game. If you don't score there, you're probably not going to get back in the game because it's going to go from early to late, and you're down big. That's kind of your opportunity. And, 162 battles, it doesn't mean that when Emerson Hancock comes out in the 1st inning, you immediately go to your leverage relievers, right? Dan obviously did all that right yesterday and goes with all the non-leverage guys, and they gave him a chance.
Yeah,
but it does mean when you've got a chance to get back into the game in the 5th, you got to pinch hit and bring in your righty to face him. And they didn't do it, and he struck out, and that's the end of things.
It was 8-4 at that point, and there were 2 guys on base.
8-4.
Yeah.
Even more so. Excuse me. Even more so.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's your opportunity to get right back into that game. That's that, and it's probably the best chance you're going to get. So I would disagree with it's early in that moment. I don't think it's early at all. I think that's the time in the game to get it done.
Is there something to be said? It's early in the season, and Rowdy's making $1 million, and we're going to see if Rowdy's a part of this thing or not.
Well, if your argument is Rowdy's making $1 million, Mitch Garver's making a whole hell of a lot more than that. That one's not going to work for me.
Okay.
Also, lefty on lefty, man. Like I know we're trying to go back to days before platoons, but that's literally why Mitch Garver was here, to hit lefties.
About the only positive thing he did all of last year.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make a Captain Obvious statement here before we go to break, but I really hope they find a way to muster up some offense and win tonight, because you don't need me to tell you guys or everybody listening who they have to go up against on Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah, you got Tariq Skubal tomorrow, so yeah.
Find a way to win tonight.
It's pretty frustrating. Now, again, getting blown out happens, but you had a couple of moments in the game to stem the tide or to maybe change it. And by the way, you bring in Garver and he does get a big hit there. Maybe drives in a couple of runs, and now it's 8-6, and you're right in the game. It's a 2-run game with only a few innings, with 4 innings left to play. Now you really maybe have something. So, yeah, a little frustrating the way that went down yesterday. All right, coming up in 20 minutes, Brady Henderson will join us. Brock, Brady said something yesterday to Wyman and Bob that I have never heard before. But it certainly made me interested and maybe even changed my view on some of what has happened this offseason. I'll play you that sound next. It's Brock and Salk, Sales Sports on 710.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
How does the McDonald-Schneider tandem look like the Carroll-Schneider tandem in terms of figuring out who they want to have play here?
Every day at 7:45.
I think it's a little bit different, Salk, because certainly they both say the same thing. We want guys that love football. But the optics and the lens through which Pete Carroll looks at that and Mike McDonald look at that are different because their wiring is very, very different.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Hey, Brock Heward here, and I have had a share of a couple sports injuries over the years. I know a little bit about pain with a dislocated ankle and separated shoulder and, torn rib cartilage, all that good stuff. But you don't have to play quarterback to know what I'm talking about. I know many of you wake up on this Tuesday morning with painful joints from arthritis, and it affects you, and it makes it hard to do pretty much anything. Well, that is where my friend, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine right over there in Kirkland, that's where he comes to play. What a great teammate. He has seen so many patients suffering from chronic joint pain caused by all the itis family. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years, yes, 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques. Many you've jumped aboard lately, not Dr. Nelson. This has been his business for over 3 decades, and he's got a lot of tools there, including stem cell therapy. Consider that and so much more with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD, at 425-823-4000, 425-823-4000, or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
At U-Line, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at U-Line believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home and make price-boosting upgrades with no cost until close. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Did you know that your windows and doors are your main source of energy loss? At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, our windows with triple weather stripping and gasket seals are up to 25% more efficient than Energy Star standards. LakeWashingtonWindows.com, a name you can trust.
March is here, and Toyota of Renton and Toyota of Kirkland have teamed up to take away your car buying madness. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, they have the widest selection of new and certified used inventory and the largest savings in the region. Now that's a slam dunk. The all-star staff at Toyota of Renton and Kirkland will assist you with a test drive, and you can score that car the very same day. Come see for yourself or visit online at toyotaofrenton.com or toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Ugly start for the Mariners, especially Emerson Hancock. He gave up 6 in the first, just recorded 2 out.
And the 2-2 pitch, swinging a fly ball deep into left center field, and this one is off the fence. That will score Dingler. Sweeney to third, being waved in. The long throw in is going to be cut off by Bliss, the second baseman.
Dirk Dingler catching yesterday for the for the Tigers. Anyway, that's an 81 ERA for Emerson after just 1 start. Put a pretty big stress on the bullpen. They had to get 25 outs, and they did a pretty good job with it, to be honest. Saucedo, Snyder, Vargas, Bizzardo, they allow, 3 total runs while getting 25 outs. That was pretty good for your low leverage guys, and kind of keeps your 4 highest leverage relievers all available for tonight. You did get a little bit of power. Randy, Raley, Raleigh all hitting home runs, but again, pitchers tend to throw a lot more fastballs with a big lead, so you got to take that for what it's worth.
You do, but let's hope for Mr. Cal there in that 9th inning that wasn't just kind of a couple, little add-on runs at the end that didn't mean anything. Let's hope that that's just kind of like we saw in spring training, right, where he kind of has to, and he is this guy that got to kind of see it go through the net and kind of get into some of that timing, some of that rhythm, and let's hope that home run unlocks him a little bit.
Dan Wilson.
He and a bunch of the fellas are not off offensively to the start that certainly they wished of leaving
That
Arizona.
is for sure. Randy hit the ball hard a few times yesterday as well. Afterwards, Dan looking on the positive side.
I think, again, these guys battled. They put up some good at-bats. We hit some balls hard. They made a couple of really nice plays. Baez at third and over at first, too, a dive on Cal's line drive. So, we did hit some balls hard and we're able to push this thing towards the end and pick it up tomorrow and keep this offense rolling.
All right, Mariners now 2-3, 2 more against Detroit. They got Logan Gilbert up for start number 2 tonight against Casey Mize, their 5th starter, and then getaway day matinee tomorrow.
Here's the second thing you need
All
to
right,
know.
a couple things to play here, Brock, from Brady Henderson, who's going to join us in
Something
about 10
you've
minutes.
never heard.
Yeah, you want the one you've never heard or the one
Never heard.
All right, here you go. Well, this was from Brady. I had not heard this. The beginning part is not new, but about 20 seconds in, what Brady says about DK, I think was pretty interesting.
Let's say DK Metcalf, for instance, he's obviously a better receiver than, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and I would say he's a better receiver at this point of their careers than Cooper Kupp. But what does that look like when, you pay a guy who's been unhappy for the last few years? And, from what I understand, that trade request that DK Metcalf made, before the start of free agency, that was not the first time that he's requested a trade. And from my understanding, that's happened several times over the past few off seasons. And so,
okay. I had not heard that.
We knew there was some unrest.
Right.
We knew he and Gino did not necessarily get along.
Right.
Did not know,
That's some new information.
On the record that he had asked for trades in the past.
Yeah, and I think that does change a little bit about how I feel John handled this situation. I mean, I've been wondering and asking you guys over and over again why John is telling people that.
Why, John?
I'm not saying it like that, but I have wondered why he keeps telling people that it wasn't their idea, that we wanted to bring them both back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that you hear that they've been asking for trades more than once, it kind of is like, well, yeah, you might have wanted to, but not all that much.
I mean, does it surprise you that DK's temperamental?
It does not. Necessarily. No.
Okay.
I also don't really know what to make about this from Brady.
the other interesting thing that Schneider said today was he was asked about the possibility of finding an upgrade at either guard or center in the draft, and he basically volunteered that it's not a very good draft for centers.
Oh, good. Well, if it's not a good draft for center, I can see why you'd want to do exactly nothing so far in free agency to help your offensive line.
There's two guards and there's one center. He said centers. It's not great. I will give you one, though. I'll tell you that. I will. That's a 40-minute tease of my draft profile today.
You got a center?
I'll give you one. Yeah, but he's been a tackle.
But John doesn't like the centers.
And a guard.
It's not a good draft to center, so you can't take a center. Can't have it. And obviously you wouldn't have wanted any of the centers that were available in free agency. They were all overpaid. You know why they were overpaid? Because there were no centers in the draft.
Hey, Brad.
So you can't have a center in the draft. You can't have a center in free agency. I guess you might as well go out there with 4 offensive linemen last year. Next year.
Brad, Brent, Danny, you got some good fodder for here's the thing right there.
I'm baffled by all of that.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Dragon lose again to Dallas again. They also had an early 1-goal lead again. Capo Caco scored his 14th, though, which was great. Personal record for points in a season. They gave up 2 goals in 45 seconds.
How many more games they got?
7 games left to play.
7 games left, thankfully.
Yeah, they've got, I think, the 4th or 5th worst record right now. How about Paige Beckers yesterday? She and her UConn teammates beat USC. Bummer that we didn't get Paige versus Juju, but it is what it is. They returned to the Final Four, and Texas beats TCU, Brock, which means Haley Van Lith's college career has come to an end.
5 Elite Eights for Haley Van Lith.
It's pretty good.
Unbelievable.
I
don't know if that will ever be done with 3 different schools.
Wow.
I don't think it'll ever be done.
I did see news this morning that she is contemplating a 6th season.
Oh, come on. Come on.
That's an April Fool's. That's my big April Fool's joke for you. Thanks.
That's pretty good.
I kind of got you, huh? For
By
a
the way,
sec.
you should be thankful that we did not do a women's bracket because I would have humiliated everybody in that building.
No kidding.
I'm sitting at 99%. Like I'm in the top 1% of the country.
Is that true?
That's 100% true.
Did you get any money on it?
No, unfortunately.
Just pride.
No, but I got all 4 number 1s, all 8 all 8s, like
you had the
15
entire
of the
Elite 8?
16s. Yeah.
Wow.
Just absolutely smoked it.
Pretty good. All right, that's everything you need to know.
Winning the family pool.
Quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no centers, Brock. It's not a good draft for centers, obviously. So you can't take a center, and you didn't want any of the centers that were here.
Do you know that they actually watch a lot of film, Salk? Do you know
I'm
that
sure
they
they
have
do.
thousands and thousands
They've
and
watched
thousands
so much
of
film that they've convinced themselves that nobody can play for their offensive line.
Thousands of man hours of people that this is their business to do, to evaluate whether or not they.
Yeah, we had this one too from Brady.
We are 3 or so weeks into free agency, so the guys that you would be able to get at this point, I don't know if there's a guy out there who you would sign anyway right now.
No kidding. All those guys have already signed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm baffled.
You know
Brady's
what
going to join us next.
You know what they thought they were? They thought they were Rowdy Tellers.
Right.
They're just guys.
No, I don't know whether they thought that.
Yeah, they did.
All of them? Every one of them?
Will Fries they wanted, but Will Fries wouldn't take a physical. And we'll see what happens with Will Fries.
What about the centers
that's the
who
one
went?
you can hold them accountable
Ryan
to.
Kelly? What about Dahlman? I mean, how many? If they're not overpaid, if there are no centers in the draft and you need a center, that's just what they cost. Brady's up next. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
The John Schneider Show.
With Wyman and Bob.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
When you guys bring in free agents, then they leave and you don't sign them, probably unique to each one. But is it just something you learn in that conversation and you go, okay.
Yeah, a lot of different reasons. It could be medical, it could be personality, financial, how they're going to be a fit in the building, how much they love football, what kind of worker are they. There's a whole interview process that I don't want to give out, actually.
Hear the rest of this interview on demand at seattlesports.com and on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
All right, Mike Salk here, and I thought I would read this to you guys. It came in last week. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a texter who was going to start their Eastside Weight Loss Clinic journey. And so the text said, haven't felt optimistic in a very long time, but you've been so transparent about your journey, Salk. So I finally decided to try it. I'm actually excited. Thank you. All right, well, thank you for trying it as well. Best of luck to you, and I'm excited to hear updates on the progress. It's not just me. It's not just the texter, Ryan Roland Smith. Maybe you saw him in the broadcast last night. He looks tiny. He's lost 30 pounds in just about 60 days. Former pro athlete, right? Where working out was his whole life. But to quote him, you can't outwork a bad diet. And so now Ryan has a plan that it's going to build the right long-term habits so he can lose the weight and then keep it off. It all starts with a 15-minute phone consultation, just like the one you got to schedule at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Join me, join Ryan Roland Smith, join our texters. Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Since 1926, my family's been helping local businesses make great first, second, and long-term impressions. We know how to make your company look good with quality uniforms, logoed apparel, floor mats, linens, and more. If you're paying for linen service or doing it yourself, let's have the conversation. The information and quote are free, but the savings and service can really add up. Visit suplinen.com. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Swedish Cyberknife is expanding. Dave Wyman with exciting news from our friends at Swedish.
They're adding a second CyberKnife. Patients can now receive CyberKnife treatment at Swedish Cherry Hill and First Hill campuses. As many 710 listeners know, CyberKnife is a non-invasive, non-surgical treatment option for prostate cancer with proven results. It uses advanced technology to track your slightest body movements while adjusting in real time to deliver radiation with extreme precision. Healthy surrounding tissue and organs are spared from radiation. The end result? Excellent long-term cancer control and significantly reduced side effects. Compared with other radiation therapies, which last 6 to 9 weeks, the CyberKnife treatment period is typically only 5 days, with each session lasting less than an hour. When diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment with Swedish CyberKnife. Swedish.org/CyberKnife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Lee Johnson culture to me is empowering all of your employees to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You know, there are certain things that it doesn't matter what level of employment you are in our organization. If it's not the right thing or it doesn't feel right, they have the ability to take care of the customer and make the decision without asking a manager, without asking an owner. The end result is they can speak to the customer with more confidence. They're definitely more confident in what they're trying to provide the customer, what the customer is trying to accomplish, and just giving them a better experience.
His name is Justin Meek. He's the leader and caretaker of more than 300 full-time employees for the Lee Johnson Auto family. It's the united understanding among Lee Johnson employees that customers are the purpose of our day. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Let's talk to Brady Henderson from Florida, where he is at the owners' meetings. Good morning, Brady. How are you?
Good morning, Michael. How are you? I'm doing great.
I'm doing great as well. You're just dropping knowledge on us. I've been playing your sound all morning because I had not heard this before. You said yesterday to Wyman and Bob that this was. Hold on, is that what am I hearing there? Are those birds?
Those are the birds. The azaleas are in full bloom. They're just a little south of Augusta.
What are you doing to the birds, Brady?
You feeding the birds?
I'm doing nothing. I did nothing to the birds. The birds are chirping away. I have nothing to do with it.
They seem excessively happy. Maybe
they want to be part of the Brock and Salk show.
Yeah,
I get it. I totally get it.
Looking at your handsome face, and they're just there, and they're so excited.
That must be it.
DK asked for multiple trades. This wasn't the first time DK had asked for a trade.
Yeah, that's my understanding, and I think that really adds context to, the decision to, move on from him. Again, to reiterate what I reported yesterday, or what I mentioned, with Bob and Dave, is that, this was not the first time that he had requested a trade. In fact, he had done so, at various points over the past, few off seasons. And so I think the Seahawks got to a point where, they realized that, okay, you've got an unhappy player in DK Metcalf. And, sometimes when players are unhappy, it's related to their contract. And when you give them a new contract, that solves the problem. But, the fact that Metcalf has been unhappy, going back several off seasons when he was still, very early in what was a very, strong, near the top of the market contract at the time, that suggests that his unhappiness was, something that, throwing money at the problem wouldn't necessarily solve it. And so I just think they got to a point where, A, you already have the inherent risk in giving a third contract to, a player at any position, but, a big money third contract. And we saw what that would have cost, $35 million a year in terms of new money. So there's the inherent risk in that. And then there's also the fact that the player has been unhappy and it hasn't necessarily been related to his contract. So I think that's how they arrived at the decision to move on.
So that is the report, Brady. So that's your reporter hat. Now put on your sports radio opining hat and tell us why you think he was so unhappy.
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know. I mean, I've heard the rumblings that, he and Geno Smith didn't necessarily, that they weren't the tightest of, receiver quarterback combos. Beyond that, I really don't know. And I don't know enough to even, take educated, kind of speculative guesses. I did hear his appearance on, the Mike Robb podcast with Marshawn Lynch, where, he talked about, kind of feeling like, some of the holdovers from the Pete Carroll era maybe felt like outsiders a little bit with the new regime. And, he cited what I felt was kind of an odd example of not feeling like, Ryan Grubb and the new offensive staff really valued their feedback, which in and of itself, that I think that makes perfect sense. As a player who's been in the NFL for, he was in his sixth season at that point, has been playing, a lot of these teams and has a good feel for the defenses. Like, I understand wanting your, opinion, value and everything, but, like, I don't think that's the sole reason why he wanted out, because, Ryan Grubb was only there last year, and he apparently said that after Ryan Grubb got fired. So I don't know how much of that really played into it. I certainly think that would have been a frustration of his, but that alone wouldn't have been enough to want out.
The other thing you said yesterday that I wanted to follow up on was John Schneider's opinion that there just aren't any centers in this draft, which is tough because apparently there weren't any centers or guards or anything else in free agency. There's no centers in the draft. Where is everyone? How come you just can't get anybody, can you? You just got to give up, I guess?
I thought that was an interesting comment to volunteer, just because John doesn't, I think a lot of GMs are probably like this, but he typically doesn't talk publicly about, what he perceives as the strengths or weaknesses of a given draft, position-wise. And so he sort of did volunteer that when he was asked about, the prospects of, in the context of, how they do like Oluwatimi and Jalen Sundell, and we've heard that, they feel like, the new coaching staff, the new scheme is going to help some of these, younger offensive linemen. He was asked about the possibility of finding an upgrade in the draft, and he basically volunteered that he thinks it's going to be hard to do that just because it's not a strong center draft. So he didn't say that it's going to be impossible. I mean, there's a guy, who's projected to be either a mid to late first-round pick named Gray Zabel, who, if he's there, I think there's some thought that he could be a very good center in the NFL. So I wouldn't say it's impossible. He did say it's going to be hard, and I think, part of that is it's not a great class, and if people don't want to hear this, your eyes are going to roll, and everybody driving down I-5, their eyes are going to roll, but, they do have more confidence in their in-house guys than people might realize.
They would have to.
Yeah, what's nice, Brady, is Salk's eyes don't roll. They do what Vernon Davis's eyes did after Cam hit him. They just spin in the back of their head. Yeah, they
go
just totally
all the way back as I pass out here in my
totally
seat.
knock them out.
Yeah.
Hey, how is Mike McDonald in year number 2 in this setting? And obviously he was at the combine. He wasn't there in year number 1. You feel a little different, Mike McDonald, in year number 2 now around the planet?
Yeah, you know what? That's funny you asked that, because I do. I was just talking to another reporter about that, about how it feels like he's kind of, getting a little bit more comfortable in these settings. And, this is the owners' meetings. You hear the birds. You hear the fountain if I walk over here. And just to give you a lay of the land here, I'm walking over. There's this big courtyard in the front of the hotel. Walking by the fountain, you can probably hear it. Right now, I'm looking out over the 13th hole of the golf course that is connected to this hotel. So the point being, this is a pretty relaxed environment, so maybe a little bit easier for the head coach to be relaxed. I mean, they've got family here and all that, so weather is beautiful. But I do think that, like any first-time person who's, in their mid-30s, you're just not going to be nearly as comfortable in year 1, in that new role and all the responsibilities that come with it. Being sort of one of the front-facing people of the organization, having to answer for a lot of questions. I just don't think you're going to be as comfortable in year 1 as you are in year 2. And it does seem like he's, kind of coming out of his shell a little bit. He does have a sense of humor, even though, he sort of he can come off sometimes as, pretty stern and serious.
What kind of birds do you think those are, Salk? Flamingos? Me? Yeah. What makes that significant?
I'm not a big birder, I will say.
You're not a big birder?
I've never really been a big birder.
866-979-3776. Text toy. What kind of birds?
It could be a grackle. I'm just going to throw out there.
A grackle?
It could be a grackle.
Sounds
I don't know that.
It's got kind of a grackle sound to it. Maybe a type of bird. Maybe something they've got in New Zealand or Australia. Are the Seahawks going to go play in Pacifica, Brady?
I don't know about that. I know that they were granted the media rights there, which is something that happens every year at the owners' meetings as the NFL expands its like marketing rights. I think the question is whether or not, the more pressing question is which potential international game could they play this coming year, and the schedule is going to come out here in later this spring. The two possibilities based on the teams that are going to be hosting, or the quote unquote home teams for these international games, and then the teams that the Seahawks are scheduled to play on the road. The two possibilities based on that would be Pittsburgh in Dublin, Ireland, or the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley Stadium in London. The sense I've gotten from talking to people that if it is going to be one of those two, that playing the Jags in London would be more likely. I don't get the sense that they're going to be that opponent for the Pittsburgh game in Dublin, but we'll see when the schedule comes out if it's going to be the Jags in London.
How's Pete doing? Have you bumped and crossed paths with Mr. Carroll?
Yes, in fact, the way they set up the two, coaches' breakfast, they do AFC on Monday and NFC on Tuesday. So that gave me an opportunity to, post up at Pete's table yesterday and, asked him about the Geno Smith trade and all that. And I thought it was interesting where he said that, he'd been in contact with Geno Smith quite a bit. Obviously, there would be a point in there where he would legally not be allowed to be in contact with Geno Smith, but, he was technically employed by the Seahawks last offseason. So, that all would have been perfectly legal and everything. But, Pete seems to be doing good. He's got some new glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I complimented him on his glasses. So,
well, that's nice of you.
Must have been the highlight of his trip here, honestly.
He said that they're working on a deal with Geno. Do you think they're ever going to get a deal done with Geno?
Yeah, it'll get done. Yeah, it'll get done. I think the comment from the GM after
you seem very sure.
Was,
yeah.
I think the comment from the GM afterwards was that he feels like the deal will get done fairly soon. I don't think that Geno is going to. I think the deal is going to get done. I think it's going to start with a 4. I imagine maybe part of the holdup on Geno's end would be. Maybe there is some incentive to wait out Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
If Brock Purdy wants to make, more than Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love and Tua and be sort of in that $55 million range, then it may benefit Geno to wait on that, just to, thinking that could bump his price up. I don't think Geno's going to be in the 50s. I think Purdy's going to be in the 50s, but I can't imagine Geno's in the 50s. I think that deal probably gets done somewhere in the low 40s.
Final two things from me here. Where do you think the tush push goes today? Because as I understand, it's already been tabled.
It's already been tabled. Yeah, that's actually done. Yeah,
they just tabled it.
They tabled it. Yeah, that just happened a few minutes ago. Sorry, Brock. It's been tabled.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because the opposition to it, at least ostensibly, the opposition to it is that because of the nature of the play, that it puts players in position to potentially have a really bad injury. It's not necessarily that the injury rate is greater on that play, but that just because of the nature of the play that you could put guys in some really bad positions.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're going to vote on that, I need to see some data on that. Like, I never watched that play. I mean, and did you guys ever watch that play and notice, like, a bunch of really bad injuries on, So I think if you're going to cite injuries as the reason to have that play banned, there's got to be some pretty compelling data to support that. And if not, then I think that's just a case of teams realizing this is an unstoppable play, and you've got to find some way to get it banned. So,
I don't mean to come back to the offensive line thing, and I know it's impossible. Nobody can find an offensive lineman. There aren't any out there. There's no guards. There's no centers. I mean, the Seahawks probably should just give up now and maybe not even roll out an offensive line next year. But I did see your colleague, Bill Barnwell, post a trade idea for the draft that was pretty interesting. I'm going to ask Brock about it in a few minutes, and I want to ask you as well. His proposal was to trade the number 18 pick to Cleveland, get back guard Wyatt Teller, and the first pick in the second round, and the third pick in the third round. First of all, that seems like a lot to get back. Would you make that deal?
Yeah. Wait, give me that again. The first pick in the second round, so you move back, 14, 15 spots.
Mm-hmm.
And you get Wyatt Teller and what else?
A third rounder?
A third rounder.
An early third rounder.
Yeah, I would do. Yeah, why not?
Do that in a flash, right? I mean, you got to pay him, but still, like, wouldn't you do that in a second?
I probably would. Yeah, Wyatt Teller is 30 years old. I'm pulling up the profile. I mean, played in 17 games, played in 13 games last year, and made the Pro Bowl the previous 3 seasons before that. So I don't have his contract.
Well, help me. Yeah, I do.
He's making some money.
Yeah, no, let me help me understand this, Brady, if you wouldn't mind. He has been paid $1 million bonus that was right after the league year, and then a couple weeks ago had a $10 million guarantee. So Cleveland has already absorbed both of those. If he were to be traded, does that then go on the Seahawks books?
Well, yeah, I think what you got to distinguish there is what of that was a roster bonus versus what was it, vesting salary guarantees. So in other words, like what you see the Seahawks do is, 5 days after the Super Bowl, money that was guaranteed for injury only at signing, it becomes fully guaranteed. But that's money that is owed later that season. That's not a roster bonus, like a March roster bonus that is paid in March if the guy's still on the roster. So I imagine if he had, two of those, one was an actual roster bonus that was paid out, whereas the other may have been, basically a promise that this base salary that you're going to make next season, it is now fully guaranteed. So the bonus, if that's already been paid, that goes on the previous team's book. If it's the upcoming base salary being guaranteed, that's what the new team that trades for him would inherit.
Well, he's probably not worth it, though. I mean, probably wouldn't help, would be my guess. I don't see how anybody really would. Did you get out on that golf course, Brady, or are you just looking at it?
No, they don't. No, I'm not allowed on that golf course. I can only look at it. I think this golf course is only for people staying at the resort, but I may find a way to get out on the golf course tomorrow.
On some other golf course while you're down there.
Called the Doral.
Where I'm allowed.
I want to thank you. You bailed on golf last week, and I got to take your spot, which was pretty awesome. So thank you for doing so. Worked out great for me. Yeah, I had a pretty good time playing the Ridge, and I just want to say thank you for bailing. I don't know what you had to do, but it certainly worked out in my favor. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I was playing golf elsewhere. I had an.
He was double booked, Salk. He was double booked. So you take his crumbs.
All right, I got a couple invites for you, Brady. I'll text you later. That is the great Brady Henderson. He is at the owners' meetings and with great information today. Great reporting. Thanks as always, buddy. We'll talk soon. Oh, he's already gone. He bailed immediately. The birds cut him off.
He's on a bird. He's flying on a bird.
The bird cut him off. Those birds were loud, man. Those Florida birds are louder than the Arizona ones.
No, they're much bigger.
Is that it?
I think so.
Why?
Because the birds that we see up at the facility, they're just right underneath the eave and the roof. And
desert birds.
Yeah.
Right. These are swamp birds.
Sure.
Yeah, they've got a little bit
more
juice.
They're eating carp out of those ponds.
You think that's what it is?
Big.
Man, they were loud and in charge. Let's do some Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Heward breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
This can't be a real trade proposal, is it, from Barwnell? That feels like you'd be getting a lot back for the number 18 pick. Are you buying trading 18 for a Pro Bowl guard, the first pick in the second round and the third pick in the third round?
Well, was not a Pro Bowl guard last year. And when you look at the numbers, the PFF numbers, which is about the only numbers we have for linemen. And I know, Big Ray, if you're listening right now, you're throwing your donut at the radio, like PFF this. Enough of that, Heward. Be better than that. But that's from a curve. And from all the linemen are at least under the same evaluation, it just gives you some framework. Wyatt Teller last year, grade-wise, was basically Lake and Tomlinson.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they were like 65th and 63rd and run blocking and pass blocking. He was a little better run blocker than Lake and Tomlinson, a little worse pass blocker. So it wasn't as if he was a top 10 guard in any of those metrics, which is why I think of Bill Barnwell, who looks at those same numbers and may listen to people. And, oh, by the way, he's going to make $14.5 million against the cap this year. How much of that could be Cleveland? How much of that also Salk? So maybe, when you look at these trades, what I've learned in talking to John and others is that, sometimes you can kind of pay down some of that if you're willing to absorb some of that money. So it may look like on paper in the draft, like, oh my gosh, what a steal. Well, actually, it's even out a little bit because we're taking on 10 of that 14 or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So, but when you're talking about a veteran, that has been there and done it, has had to play in a terrible, terrible organization in Cleveland, was a former 5th-round pick that did play at a Pro Bowl level for 3 straight years. There's a little more there on the resume than there's been for Laken Tomlinson and some of these other veterans they picked up over the years. So initially, for me, super excited. And as you trade down into the low 30s, could there still be another starting guard for you?
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you add more picks in the 3rd round. There could be a starting D tackle. There could be, another nice wide receiver option in that kind of round. That's just a lot of artillery.
It's pretty interesting. And I think what made it mostly so is that those picks are at the very top of those rounds. You're not talking about late 2nd, late 3rd rounders. You're talking about the 1st and 3rd picks in those rounds.
Yeah.
That's got
so
a lot
right
of
now,
value
you're
to
talking about 5 in the top 93. So
Right.
then you'd be talking about 7 in the top 93, including a bunch of those at the top of the 2nd and 3rd round.
And having a starting guard. So
And
that you don't need to go down that road, and really gives you a lot of other opportunities if you want to go.
Yeah.
Interesting trade proposal. Question number 2. So is John bluffing, Brock?
Yeah, when Brady said what he said, a little surprised that John put that out there. I kind of take that as this guy's been around the block a time or two or 15 times. Yeah, there's sometimes he could be a little loosey-lipped, but usually not in front of a microphone. And I do think he's bluffing a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think I think there are a couple centers. It's not loaded with centers. There's not 5, 6, 7, 8 of those guys. But are there a couple guys that could be there in that 2nd or 3rd round? And he kind of talked yesterday about having 5 of the top 92 and what that provides you, which we know there's a track record of moving up and moving down and moving up and moving down. And, man, if you were to make that Bill Barnwell trade, now you'd have 7 to really move up and down that escalator in a draft. As we'll talk to Daniel Jeremiah tomorrow as he sharpened his pencils. It seems to have a lot of intriguing prospects in that 2nd and 3rd round. So I think there could be a little bluffing going on.
Question number 3. Huskies spring ball this week, Brock. What'd you hear from Jed Fish yesterday?
Yeah, I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna watch them boys on Saturday. Kind of excited to see that. Yes, I think one of the more intriguing things I heard was about his quarterback. And, we're a market. Someone on this show has talked about stars, the need for stars in this market. Well, there's a young up-and-coming star playing that quarterback position, Salk, that's right up your alley, man. He is creative. He's wizardry. He's Russell Wilson 2.0 possibly at the collegiate level when it comes to the strength of his arm, yet the just incredible athleticism. And what I liked was hearing Jed say, they want to get him close to 200 pounds. Play in the Big Ten and to take the beating that you were going to take in the Big Ten, the beating that, the starter took last year, the beating that he took in his start, taking 8, 9, 10 sacks against Oregon. You're not going to survive. You're not going to play 12, 13, 14 games at 180 pounds. And the fact that he's a whole lot closer to 200 pounds, that was their goal. I believe he weighed in at 198. That is a sign that he took some coaching, he took some wish lists, and he went out and did the kind of work to get it done.
Maybe he and Matty Beniers can go on eating and working out spree together.
Wouldn't you like to be in a place where you need to gain 20
I would like
pounds?
that, yeah. If somebody told me I had to gain weight, I think I could pull it off.
So we need you to be a better radio host, to be large and in charge.
Yeah, to fit in with my brethren.
We need you to gain 20 pounds.
Yeah, I can do that.
Could he do it?
I can make it happen if I needed to. That's everything from Blue 88 today.
Lyle, could you do it? The way you nibble at every little dessert that comes in there, do you think you could put on 20, Lyle?
I think I...
Lyle, do you think you could put on 20?
I think I choose not to, but...
No, that's not the question. My God.
Gosh.
Why can't you answer a question straight? Why do you have to not answer everything?
Are you Dan Wilson?
Seriously. You were asked a pretty direct question. You can't answer, could you put on 20 pounds?
I'm honestly... Okay, fine. I'm honestly going to go with no, because 20 pounds is a lot.
All right.
I don't think that would take a long time.
All right, good answer. See, that wasn't that hard.
Was that hard?
Just answer. Maura, could you put on 20 pounds if you had to? No
Nah,
chance.
I think 10's about the most I've been.
There's no way you could put on 10 pounds if you were
Yeah,
asked.
I don't think so.
No chance.
Who on the sports side could put on 20 the quickest?
I'm not answering that question. There's no there's no upside. See, now that's a direct question that you shouldn't answer. That is a no upside in possibly answering that question.
866-979-3776.
No, do not even ask the text machine about that. I don't want it on our text toy. I don't want to answer it. I want to forget that you asked it. Why would you even go there? Why would you do such a thing?
Because I thought you were just going to say you, like me.
No, you're just such an instigator. There's just no need to instigate like that. It's very, very highly unnecessary. And we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll let you talk about draft profiles instead.
Yeah,
because at least you can't do any harm or damage
number
there.
14.
Yeah, exactly. And then Jeff Passan at 8:30. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
What a night.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
How about that for an opener where it felt like, here we go, Logan is dealing. He made one mistake, but he was just dominant. He was just outstanding.
There was a shot of Logan Gilbert after he delivered one of his pitches where he just he was just screaming. And you saw how intense everybody was. It was really good to see.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home and make price-boosting upgrades with no cost until close. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen. And this is Sarah Beth. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese,
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places that I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Did you hear?
A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to do you a minute.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
All right, rolling along, Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com. Excited for our reunion with Jeff Passan. Coming up in a half hour, Brock, our first Jeff interview of the year. And we'll be doing that every Tuesday at 8:30 throughout the baseball season, and certainly a lot to chat about with him. And then tomorrow at 8:30, the return of our draft guru, Daniel Jeremiah, will be with us every Wednesday leading up to the draft and even through the draft at 8:30. So we'll get the sense of what he is hearing and seeing, and he's got to be fully locked in now, as are you, Brock, which is why today we are on to the next draft profile.
The Seattle Seahawks select.
This is Brock Ewert's draft profile.
You want traits? Check. You want a vocal leader? Check.
At the end of the day, you have to say, okay, what's best for the organization? Can you make people around you better, and can you bring people together?
Every day leading up to the draft.
Well, Salky, I'll say it again. Every time I hear those words of John Schneider, are you a vocal leader? Do you bring people together? Do you elevate those around you? Number 14 on my list is USC offensive lineman Jonah Monheim. This year he played center. He's 6'4", 307 pounds. I take a liking to him, and with these USC guys, I know a little bit more than I maybe do about any other guys at any other school because, well, my little brother's the offensive coordinator there. And Jonah was a four-star recruit out of high school. Big talented kid out of Southern California down there, wanted by just about everybody in the country. He ended up going to USC, where first year he just played in the game. But his redshirt freshman year, he played 12 games and he started 7 at right tackle. His redshirt sophomore year, he played 14 games. He started 14 at both right tackle and right guard. His redshirt junior year, he played 13 games, started 12 of those at left tackle. And then after 4 years, had a decision to make. Do I go to the NFL and be a late round tackle? Because unfortunately, God gave me 30 and 1/8 inch arms. And 30 and 1/8 inch arms to the NFL says you can't play tackle. You can't play with those limitations at this level. You're going to have to slide in and play guard. So Jonah Monheim said and talked to and consulted with Lincoln and with Luke and his O-line coach, Josh Henson, who's put out a lot of NFL dudes, and said, what do you think? Can I come back and be a center? Can I just train myself? Because if I'm going to play at the next level, I know my size limitations, but I also know my brain. I know my athleticism. I know my game. And if I come back and help myself and go play center, and boy, did he ever. As I said, started all 12 games there, so that's 52 games played. That's 45 starts. What you see with number 15 and Jay Higgins, what you see with number 14, what you're going to see tomorrow with number 13, what you're going to see from me in these draft profiles is a lot of Howie Roseman. Play a lot of games, play them at the highest level against the best competition, and have a whole bunch of production. And that has been Jonah Monheim. Now, he didn't run or jump at the combine, but he did at his pro day, and he ran a 5 flat. 5 flat at 6'3", 307 pounds, pretty good. And the more that I think about Jonah Monheim, the name that comes up to me, and by the way, he's a 4th or 5th round center So we're not looking at a first-round center, a second-round center, a third-round center. What you're looking at is what John Schneider said yesterday. There's some good players, but are there great offensive guard or centers? Probably not. Jonah Monheim going to have a really high grade and be drafted on the first couple days of the draft? No. But is he going to be sitting there on day 3 of this draft as a kind of intriguing prospect who, frankly, when I sat down with him last year in our production meeting, you know who I walked away and thought he reminds me of? Max Unger. Man, there's some Max Unger to that guy. He is smart. He is bright. He is easy to talk to. He's a tremendous communicator. Guys really like him. He's the captain of that team. He was smart enough to realize in college that if I want to play at the next level, I got to look at myself in the mirror and know what I am and what I'm not. And even though I look like mankind, which he does a little bit with the long hair, I got to look at it and go, my profession, if I want to do this, is going to be at center. And I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to have to learn how to be a center, and he has. And Max Unger did the same as a guard to center. But Max Unger was a bad athlete, Salk. I'm looking at Max's combine. Bless his heart. 6'5", 309. This kid, again, 6'4", 307. Max ran a 5.35 with a 1.8710 and only jumped 24 inches. Athletically, that's about as bad on the scale as you get. Monheim, a much better athlete than that. Not going to go in the second round as Max Unger did. Could he play 10, 12 years in this league? Would not surprise me at all, would not surprise the USC people at all, and would be a guy in those later rounds that I would keep a really clear eye on.
All right, that's Jonah Monheim. Question for you.
Yes,
he's number
Michael.
14 in your draft profile.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think my mom would like Jonah Monheim in the same way she liked Roger Rosengarten?
Not like him. She would love him. She'd say, "What a neat guy. What a lovable young man. What a just a bright light."
Just kind of looking at the name.
Uh-huh.
You think my mom would have some of the same affinity?
You know what, Salky? I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think quite possibly, yes.
I mean, a Jewish center sounds pretty good. I got to be honest with you. Lyle, what do we think? Jonah Monheim add a little Jewish center to this offensive line? I know John said there were none out there, but I see the name Jonah Monheim, and I certainly have a thought about, maybe some good reasons for the Seahawks to bring him in.
What do you think, Lyle? You like Jonah Monheim? You watch Jonah Monheim? What do you think?
I got to be honest, Salk would know a whole lot more about this than me, but if he's on board, I'll be on board. Yep.
Just a talker, Salk. That's been an aspect of this O-line as well that we've talked about an awful lot. And that is not Charles Cross. That's not Abe Lucas. I don't know if that's Olu Timmy. I don't know if that's Sundell. Certainly not Bradford. Christian Haynes didn't strike me in that kind of way last year, right? To find guys that like to be linemen, that like to talk, like, I don't know, Max Unger, like to be an offensive lineman, like Robbie Tobeck, like to be an offensive lineman, right? Jeff Saturday, like to be an offensive lineman. I was around some of these guys that were great talkers that just, elevated people around them and were, like, this is my livelihood. And I'm going to put my hard hat on, and I love playing O-line.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, when you make that transition and that change, and you kind of have, frankly, that level of humility to look in the mirror and go, I could keep playing tackle. I'm better than our tackles here at USC. But if I'm going to really play at the next level, I'm going to really have to evaluate what I got to do. And if that means taking a step of courage and a step of risk and, let me do it here and see how I play at center. And he played at a really high level this last year.
Pretty cool. Well, and sad, though, because he's obviously not going to get drafted. I mean, no centers in the draft. So, I mean, I appreciate your thought.
Quick little 2 minutes. Quick little 2 minute story.
Like he's going to be much of a likely
scenario. Quick little 2 minute
here.
story so we could turn your sarcasm faucet off. And, I've told this years ago, but early on when I was doing the broadcasting thing, we had a guy, and he was really, really good. And you could tell right away. He was a former, I think, Dartmouth quarterback, big guy, super, super smart. And he worked in the truck. And he was a guy that would be in my ear a bunch and say, okay, let's cut this up. And, when we had all these tools and resources before ESPN made all these cutbacks, and he would do all this awesome artwork during the game, right? Here's cover 2. You just saw the game. You just knew it. But what else was in every meeting, he just tore down every player to the point where finally our stat guy had to turn to him and say, do you like anybody? Like, I know you work there at the NFL Network and scouting and stuff, but you think everybody sucks. Like, is there anybody you actually like? And the kid kind of chuckled and he's like, well, I think that's what I'm being trained to do in scouting. So much of it is not necessarily what they can do. It's that
Well,
20-80. Yeah, what is the scale on baseball? 20-80? Like not everybody's an 80. In fact, most of them are like 30, 40. They don't really give out 50s or 60s or 70s, right? They want to look at, what you can't do versus,
they're looking at it so much they've just decided not to do anything. And I get it. A little paralysis by analysis here. Nothing to do. Everybody has too many flaws, too many faults. You just got to give up. I do like this text. What does a Jewish quarterback? What does a quarterback say to a Jewish center? Chut, chut, hike.
Chut.
That's funny. Thank you to the 805. That's a good laugh this morning. I appreciate that. We got Jeff Passan coming up at 8:30. After everything you need to know.
Give it to me again.
Chut, chut, hike. Everything you need to know is next.
When you're on the pitch clock and don't have time for your favorite Seattle sports shows, listen to the podcasts on demand.
How about that? Unbelievable. Who would have thought?
Every hour, every interview, every look behind the scenes.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper.
This is a window. This is a time where we can get it done, and that's the hope. That's the vision for this club.
Find us on seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports app, or wherever you get podcasts.
Holy smokes.
Never miss a minute of Seattle sports, the home of the Mariners.
All right, Mike Salk, you want to talk about pests? You want to talk about bugs? You want to talk about rats, rodents? Yeah, this is the time of year, right? Spring. They're trying to get into your house. Rodents are in the peak of their reproductive season. So if just one makes its way into your home, it could quickly turn into hundreds or thousands, and now you got damage to insulation, wiring, even structural features. You don't want any part of that. You might see more bugs this time of year, too, specifically ants. They're looking for a food supply, so let's get rid of all of this. Call Pest Pros. It's the full-service pest control division of Crawl Pros, and they can come in, they can prevent bugs or rodent infestations from reoccurring. If you're worried about water damage or mold or insulation issues, critters, anything else related to your crawl space or attic, call Crawl Pros or visit crawlpros.com to schedule a free inspection. That's crawlpros.com.
Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on Green Bay's team. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
All right, keep up. It's me, the radar gun at T-Mobile Park. And these Mariners pitchers have me working overtime. 3 all-star aces, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and George Kirby throwing absolute gas.
Holy smokes, what a performance. Strikeout number 10 on the night.
And don't forget about Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, the young guns. Those guys get me fired all the way up.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
And just when you think you'd survive, here comes Andres Munoz dialing up triple digits and shutting the door. Oh boy, I'm giddy just thinking about it.
Back-to-back strikeouts, and the ball game is over.
Trust me, you're going to want to grab a seat and feel the speed for yourself. And there they go again. I got to make sure my batteries are charged. Mariners baseball. Trident something.
Be here for the Mariners opening homestand at T-Mobile Park. The fun continues this week with 2 more chances to score a Julio bat flip bobblehead tonight at 6:40 and tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. Both games are Mariners value games, which means you can score seats starting at just $10 at mariners.com/value game.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on seattlesports.com.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
1-877-X for kids. EGGSX for kids. 1-877-X for kids. Donate your eggs today.
Donate your eggs today at eggsforkids.org. That's eggs with an E. Your eggs, scrambled or not, can make a difference in the life of a child.
1-877-X for kids. Donate your eggs today.
Now also accepting donations of boats, homes, and eggs.
They say teachers don't impact for a year, but for a lifetime. Hi, this is Rick Riz. Join WSECU, your local credit union, as we celebrate those who give so much with the Teacher of the Week program. Nominate a teacher you feel has changed a life in our community. Each week throughout the season, we'll honor one teacher with a $500 grant, courtesy of WSECU. Teachers are the real MVPs. Find out more and nominate a teacher at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
It was not a good game for the Mariners, specifically for Emerson Hancock. He gave up 6 runs in the first inning, Brock, before recording just 2 outs. He departed with a now 81 ERA. Obviously, that'll work out a little bit better later. But, yeah, put a little stress on the bullpen, and they came through. A credit to Sauce and Snyder, Vargas, Bizzardo. They allowed the team to at least keep their 4 highest leverage relievers available for tonight, game 2 of a series. They did give themselves a chance to get back into this. Randy Arozarena won 3 home run balls.
Here's the pitch on the way to Randy. Swinging a well-hit ball deep to left center field. Carpenter going back, looking up, and goodbye baseball. Randy parks it into the Tiger bullpen, and the Mariners get on the board here in the bottom half of the second. They need a spark and a big lift. Down by 6, now make it down by 5. It's the Tigers 6, the Mariners 1, and Randy's second home run of the season.
Yeah, they hit a couple more. They kind of got close, 8-4 in the middle innings. 5th inning, got 2 men on base. But in an opportunity to maybe get a righty in there against a lefty pitcher, they stick with Rowdy Tellez, and it doesn't work. And that was kind of all she wrote.
Yeah, the situational hitting not been very good the last couple games, and these Detroit Tigers have been really good against the Mariners, winning, 6 of the last 7? Mm-hmm. Won 5 of 6 last year, and home, and win this one. And you better find a way to get this done, because the old Seattle U-boy pitches tomorrow in the matinee. So it would sure be nice to get a little better hitting with runners in scoring position, tune up that defense, and then you get a little picture of when your strength, which is your pitching, is not your strength, but actually your weakness, going to make it very, very difficult.
I did enjoy the text we got earlier from the 206. It said, how long before there are calls for Kevin Seitzer to be fired for not effectively implementing Edgar's global hitting approach with the Mariners?
Come on. Already? Already?
The mental gymnastics that takes is really intense. Mariners 2-3. They got 2 more to go here against Detroit. Logan Gilbert has start number 2 tonight against Casey Mize. They got a getaway day matinee tomorrow where Luis Castillo is going to have to take on Turk Skubal. So, yeah, you'd really like to get tonight and just kind of, have a win to build on. A lot. For Dan, you got to just move on.
Yeah, I think this is one to flush for sure. And I think from his spring training outings and where he was, he really was coming in confident. I don't think he'll lose any confidence in this one. He's a competitor and he'll get right back on it.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
It doesn't look like John Schneider was too enamored with the available offensive lineman, Brock. We've now heard a couple things about how John's just not too impressed with the offensive. Now it's the centers that aren't good.
I did chat, by the way, one little nugget. I did chat with Tom Cable. I told you that yesterday in Blue 88. Out of 32 teams in the NFL, 64 starting tackles. How many did he surmise are actually legitimate starting tackles, not just guards and centers?
In his 64 mind, starters?
64 starters. How many, like, legitimate, bona fide, man, I feel really good. I got one of the offensive tackles.
25.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Sounds about right.
Not even half.
Yeah.
You don't even have half the position in the covered.
But what are you going to, like, okay, so what, give up?
No.
I mean, like, go get one that's I mean...
No, you draft in the third, you draft in the fifth, you draft in the sixth.
Okay, but the 26th best tackle is still better than the 60th best tackle.
That's
so
true.
Work to get one even if they're not the best starter, get one who's in the 20s, get one who's in the 30s, not one that's in the 60s.
I think when healthy, you actually have two of the 25
Now do the same thing at guard, and you actually have something. Do the same thing at center and stop saying that you can't possibly go down any of these roads.
I'm glad they're not looking at it and working on it. I'm really thankful for
I don't know. 206 says, Salk, you're not funny. Quit trying to be. They know more about evaluating players than you do. No kidding. Of course, I know the word is than, not then, and I know how to spell, which is obviously a problem for you in the 206.
Oh, boy.
But of course they're better at evaluating than I am. No kidding. Unfortunately, they seem to be too good at it. They're so good at evaluating, they've crossed everybody off their list. All right, let's hear from Mike McDonald. He is speaking, Brock, this morning at the owners' meetings, and he's excited about the offense moving forward.
I think it's different. I mean, we have a long way to go. So we have different players in the building, and we're really excited about those guys. But as a football team, we have to do a great job throughout the offseason program, installing our process again, not skipping steps, being connected as a football team, doing all the things the right way. So hit the ground running.
They're hitting the ground running.
You know what's going to be nice, Salk? How many times I said to you over the course of last season, I just don't know what this identity is.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it is defensively. We start to see that thing dialed in, and by the end of the year, I think we got a really good feel for the way Mike McDonald wants to call it and wants to play it. Offensively, never got that feel. That will be a different story in 2025.
I think all that is true. By the way, reporters even louder than the birds in Palm Beach. So if you needed a little context for that sound, thanks to Brady, he was filming, but not able to filter out all of the sound from the reporters milling.
It sound like our Julio sound a little bit. Push.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Crack and lose. It's not funny, Brock. It's not funny at all.
Stupid.
Crack and lose.
Why do you say things like that?
I don't know. You're kind of rude, to be honest with you, Tamora.
Talking about Dave Wyman adding 20 pounds. So selfish. What are you doing, Brock? You better now.
I'm out of this. I don't want any part of this.
Did you say the Kraken lost again?
They did, yeah. Capo Caco had a goal, but that was about it. Paige Beckers won. She and UConn beat USC.
Yeah, that's her third straight 30-plus game never done in UConn history. I want to say, gosh, is it 16 of 17 Final Fours now for Gino? Salk, it's insane. And even he said it yesterday. He said, there's Disneyland, there's Disney World, there's UConn World. Where literally a couple years ago, they did not make the Final Four for the first time in like an 11-year stretch. And he went and watched the men play and win a national title that year, the UConn men did. I mean, it's just the run that he has been on, the consistency in a world of instability and inconsistency, truly remarkable. Just awesome.
All right, that's everything you need to know. God, there's some great text messages today. Calm down, armchair GM. That's literally my job. Thank you. Salk, I bet your wife wants to pouch you in the face at least once per day. Excuse me, punch. No. Not at all. My wife's smart, so I don't need to say obnoxious things to her like I need to a lot of you guys who are not. Yeah, I could go on. How long are you guys going to do this? I can go on all day. I got the platform. I can do whatever I want.
Kind of on a heater.
Keep bringing it, baby. Let's go. Bring it on.
I'd like to see you play this elite smart card with Passan. I'd really like to see you do that in the next 30 minutes.
He's right. He's better at it
really
than I am.
No, he really enjoys it when you play that very
but then he does
elite
the same thing.
Smart card.
He likes to pretend like he's not like that, but then he just does the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Just keep it rolling.
Well, I'm waiting for the geniuses to come back with more comments. It takes a little time for them to crank up the old mental acuity and get it going in the morning. So, yeah, I got to wait just a moment. I got to wait just a minute
You
or two.
are something sometimes.
I am. Aren't I? Aren't I something?
Yes, you
I really am. 253 says, again, Salk is so right about the O-line and this philosophy. Why do I have to agree with him? I know it's hard. I know it's challenging. I know it rips at your core. But when you're right, you're right. And on this one, I'm right. Sorry. Jeff Passan's next. It's Brock and Salk, Sales Sports on 710.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans?
With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike Macdonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
All right, Mike Salk here, and love talking about Ryan Coogan and his incredible program, Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I went on my journey. Ryan Rowland Smith is on his journey right now. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I got this awesome text last week from the 775, which said, haven't felt optimistic in a very long time, but you've been so transparent about your journey, Salk, so I finally decided to try it. I'm actually excited. Thank you. I can't wait to hear more about this person's journey. If it's anything like mine and Ryan's, it will be incredibly successful. How about the hyphen? Former pro athlete, right? Guy used to work out all the time. But as he said, you can't outwork a bad diet. And he's now finding a way to improve that. He has lost 30 pounds, and he looks incredible. I was watching him on the broadcast last night. He looks awesome. It all started with a 15-minute phone consultation, just like the one you've got to schedule at eastsideweightlostclinic.com. Join me, join Ryan Rowland Smith, join our texters. Go to eastsideweightlostclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Did you know that your windows and doors are your main source of energy loss? At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, our windows with triple weather stripping and gasket seals are up to 25% more efficient than Energy Star standards. LakeWashingtonWindows.com, a name you can trust.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Lowe's knows that your business is built on speed and trust. That's why the Lowe's Pro Desk is here to get you what you need the moment you need it. We'll help you plan your project, calculate your materials, and pivot when your job takes an unexpected turn. And with our pro-only checkout and dedicated pro parking, you have what you need to tackle your job and be back on the job in no time. Just visit us at the Pro Desk. Lowe's knows pros. We help. You save.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Superior Linen Service. 98 years providing logoed apparel, uniforms, floor mats, linens, and more. Give us a call. We answer the phone. Superior Linen Service. Visit suplinen.com.
Washington State has the 3rd highest cost of living in the nation. If Olympia politicians raise taxes again, the cost of everything from groceries and gas to housing will go up even more. They've already doubled spending over 10 years, with little to show for it. Washington State needs lower costs, not higher taxes. Demand smarter state spending now at affordablewashington.org. Paid for by people for an affordable Washington and Olympia, Washington. Top 5 donors are Washington Alliance for Competitive Economy, Microsoft, Madrona, T-Mobile, and Alaska Air.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and security edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment and paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Real Success. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at ourrealsuccess.com.
Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses and acquiring rental properties right here in Seattle? We're offering a handful of motivated individuals the opportunity to attend our workshop right here in Seattle for free. That's right, we'll give you 2 free tickets when you text FLIP to 64,000. Seattle is the perfect market to flip houses and build rental income. Discover the simple steps developed by Joe Arias, one of real estate's greatest rags to riches stories. You'll learn to flip properties and secure rental properties without using your own money and in your spare time. Don't miss this opportunity. Come to a complimentary live 2-hour workshop this week right here in Seattle and learn how to start making money flipping homes and building long-term wealth with rental properties. To get 2 free tickets, text FLIP to 64,000. Text in the next 10 minutes, and registrants will also receive a free copy of our Funding for Deals guide. Text FLIP to 64,000 for 2 complimentary tickets. Text FLIP to 64,000.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
There's so many good texts right now, bro. We'll get back to them a little bit later because we want to make sure we get all of our time with our guy, Jeff Passan of ESPN. He's back for another year of every single Tuesday joining us at 8:30. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you? Happy baseball season to you.
Happy baseball season to you guys, too.
Well, it's already over here. It's sad. It's over. It's already done. They're 2-3. The people have jumped off the bandwagon. It's already over, buddy. Let's start talking about the offseason 2026.
Mike Salk, the wet blanket, raining on parades, harsh and buzzes all day.
Yeah, I'm not doing that, obviously. I think I know better than to panic or read too much into 5 games. But when your lineup and roster are almost identical to how it was last year, can you read a little more into 5 games than you might otherwise?
No, just because guys progress year over year and guys change, and you're going to have ones who are better and you're going to have ones who regress. And it's too early to know at this point what that is. I mean, we can take away little clues and little signals, and maybe it's just noise, or maybe there's something there. But you guys know me. Like, Memorial Day is my line of demarcation, typically, as to what a team both is and can be. Numbers have stabilized at that point, and we have a sense of what we're dealing with and what progress is actually real and what might actually be a mirage of the first couple of weeks. So you want to get off to a good start. You want to be the Yankees going 3-0 and outscoring the Brewers 36-14 over the first 3 games. But the Yankees doing that, that doesn't tell me that they're going to win the American League East and dominate through the playoffs this year. It just shows that, hey, the ceiling of this team is pretty good, and we know that they can go on these jags where they're scoring 20 runs and, hitting 5, 6, 9 home runs a game.
Over these years, Jeffrey, thank you for being back yet again with us. And over these years, I think one thing that Salk and I have certainly appreciated, our audience has about you as well, is you dig into these numbers. You don't just kind of show up and turn the microphone on. You look at what the Mariners are doing. You look at kind of the next level and advanced stats and things that, stand out to Jeff Passan after all of these years. So when you're just a week into the season, did you even take a look at the stats of the Mariners for the first 5 games, or like truly you don't even pay any attention to it?
Oh no, I definitely look at the numbers just to see if there are any trends worth following. And the one number to the Mariners stood out. The one number for the Mariners that stood out to me is 50, and that's 50 strikeouts and 149 at bats. If this team is going to win, it just cannot strike out as much as it does. Like that's a really simple thing. But I fear that because of the construction of this team, that's going to be hard. Like guys tend not to cut their strikeout rates demonstrably year over year. That tends to be something that stays pretty static. And when you look at the best teams in baseball, they at least right now in the early going, they tend not to strike out very much. And let's look at strikeout leaders. The Washington Nationals, 32% of plate appearances. The Colorado Rockies, 31. The Red Sox, I believe, are 1-4 this year. They're at 29. The Braves are 0-5. They're at 29, and in fifth is the Seattle Mariners at 28.4% of plate appearances. That is not a number that is sustainable if you want to be a winning team.
You say it, Jeff, and again, we've argued about strikeouts since forever, but fine. What's interesting is when they've hit home runs, they've won because home runs and walks have a tendency to mitigate some of those strikeout problems. But more interestingly to me is a lot of that was supposed to go away because of the approach. And we heard a lot about how Edgar Martinez was, able to get these guys with a different approach to not strike out so much. What's happening?
Baseball's hard. Like you can take the approach that you want and you can prioritize strikeouts, but if you have swing and miss in your game, you're not going to wish cast it away. You're not going to say, hey, today I think I'm not going to strike out. It changes everything about your game when you start prioritizing things that you are not physically capable of doing. And, with a guy like Cal Raleigh, it's an okay trade-off because the power is there. It's just you can't have guys who don't have slug and do have high strikeouts.
But Jeff, Jeff, you and I were. I mean, here's why I'm going to sort of be difficult about this.
Be careful today, Jeff.
I know I'm on a heater today.
He is on an elite
heater. You and I were arguing over text throughout the offseason about this a little bit and what needed to be done. And in my view, they needed to make some changes to the roster because betting on a hitting coach changing your hitting problems didn't make a lot of sense to me. And here we are, 5 games in, and I'm not going to look at just 5 games, but go figure. Having a different hitting coach is not changing the results markedly, and you agree with that. Why didn't they do different things in the offseason?
We're at that very weird juncture of this program where you're starting to get whiny when I agree with you. No, you're
It only took 6 minutes, Jeff.
Mike, you know the way your voice gets when you get on one. There's an extra octave in there that I didn't think you were going to start reaching. But you get all indignant and you say, dude, I agree with you. You are correct. You're right. When they say we're going to rely on our hitting coach, you know what that is? That's them not saying we wouldn't need to rely so much on our hitting coach if our owner had gone out and given us the money that he should have to go and get hitters in free agency who better represent what we're looking for.
I mean, you say the owner, but I watched the Detroit Tigers yesterday. They don't spend as much money as the Mariners do, and that lineup looked pretty good. I watched the A's lineup a couple weeks earlier in the week, and they spent almost no money, and their lineup looked better. Yeah. So it's not just the amount of money that's being spent. A lot of it has to do with the choices made by the people who are, buying the groceries, not making the right choices.
I think that there is certainly something to that, but I also think that it's context dependent. I got a call from a longtime evaluator who I respect deeply a day before the Mariners-Tigers series started. And he said, I have no idea how the Tigers are going to score runs. So, yes, you saw them just blasting Emerson Hancock last night. That might be more on Emerson Hancock than it is indicative that the Tigers have a good lineup. The A's, yes, their offense is better. They've gone out and made improvements, and a bit of that is internal, right? Bringing guys up. Tyler Soderstrom's gotten off to a great start, and he's a homegrown guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that we're going to be having these conversations 3 years down the road, because I don't think that Colt Emerson is going to have big issues with strikeouts. And I don't think Johnny Farmelo is going to have big issues with strikeouts. And Las Montez may, but, the hope is he's got 40 home runs in his bat as well. And so I think this next generation of Mariners hitters that's coming up right now is going to be a lot better in this respect. But it also, I think, is important, as you said, for the people who are running baseball operations day to day to look at this lineup right now, understand how its weaknesses are impeding the success of the present team, and bake that into future evaluation so that you don't run into the same problem again with the players who you are developing and who you do hope are going to be part of a homegrown core going forward.
Jeffrey, you got your computer pulled up in front of you?
Always.
Okay. Can you pull up Julio Rodriguez? And as you do, I am kind of curious, because every day here in April we do a draft preview, and we play sound of the general manager of the Seahawks who says, I need a guy that can elevate everybody around him and just kind of lights up the room and just a difference maker. Julio is that kind of guy. Julio has struck out 7 times in, 21 at-bats this year? He's got 3 walks, 7 Ks.
21 plate appearances, yeah.
Yep, so he's right there above 30%. Can Julio Rodriguez be a star in this league? Can he get his jersey sold once again, which are not happening right now, if he strikes out 30-something% of the time?
It's really hard when you're at the 30% level to be a star. You have to be elite defensively. You have to slug the ball well, and you have to get on base. It's possible. It takes some batted ball luck, because think about it this way with strikeouts. If you're striking out 30% of the time, that is just like out of every 10 at-bats that you have, that means 3 of them you're doing absolutely nothing productive. And so you now have 7 more plate appearances to go out there and do something. Strikeouts limit your ability to impact the game. So yeah, because of Julio's glove and his legs and his power, he's got enough tools to still be a star, even if he does strike out at a high rate. But I don't know, man. I just look at the top of the leaderboards when it comes to wins above replacement, and I look at the strikeout rates among those guys, and it tells a story. Who was the best player in baseball last year? Aaron Judge, 24%. Bobby Witt Jr., 15%. Shohei Ohtani, 22. Juan Soto, 17. Gunnar Henderson, 22. Francisco Lindor, 18. Jarren Duran, 22. Jose Ramirez, 12. Best case scenario is that Julio Rodriguez is Ellie De La Cruz, who was a 6-win player last year with a 31% strikeout rate. The only other guys in the top 20, now we're going down to like top 30 of wins above replacement right now. Wow. On Fangraphs with more than a 25% strikeout rate. Brent Rooker at 28.8 and Cal Raleigh at 28.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
We're going to get to Cal in a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can be a very effective player if you strike out a lot. It just cuts down your margin for error significantly.
Yeah, I think what one thing I would say about the strikeouts is the types of strikeouts and the reason for the strikeouts, I think, may be important. Mm-hmm. Are you striking out because you're being incredibly patient and you're forcing the pitcher to throw a lot of pitches, so then generally both your walks and your strikeouts are going to be high? I think that's always been the trade-off I've been willing to accept of like, hey, that's sort of where the whole 3 true outcome thing comes from. But when you're striking out because you just keep swinging, that's a very different kind of strikeout. And I think that's the one that's been driving us crazy with Julio, is he's not being patient. The strikeouts are coming from swinging and missing, not because he's trying to wait for the best pitch.
Yeah, and the Mariners actually are pretty darn patient team. I think they're third in walk rate in MLB right now. So there is some balance to that. But you're right. Pitch recognition and swing decisions are so crucial to strikeouts. And, if that has been the emphasis of Edgar Martinez and that's the emphasis of Dan Wilson, and they just keep pounding it into guys' heads, they need to do a better job at that.
So you mentioned Cal.
It's not enough.
You mentioned Cal. Let's talk about him for a moment because he signed his big extension last week. You broke the news. Nice job by you, of course. And we spent a lot of time talking about it. A big question: why do you think this got done? Why did Cal sign? But also, let me steer you a little bit because of, you and I've talked about impending labor issues, et cetera, the chance for a lockout or maybe even a cap coming up. Could we see more guys signing deals like this now because they know there's a chance that when they actually come up for free agency, things will look very different?
I think this was position dependent. Because if you go and look historically at the free agent contracts signed by, I got a beep here from someone who I probably should pick up, but I'm not going to do that because I like you guys.
Are you sure? Why don't you can answer live? We'll just turn your mic down. Maybe not.
No, that's not. I don't think that's how it works.
No,
When you beep over, you guys can't still hear me, can you?
Well, you can do a three-way call if you need to. I mean,
Yeah, I don't want to put this person in that position now.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Rob Manfred. We take precedence. What can we tell
you? Sorry, Jerry. Justin. Sorry.
Yes, it's a big name. I think that when you look at what catchers have done in free agency, take JT Realmuto, for example. He, 5 years, I think $150 million. And he struggled to get that. Like, he was a free agent for a long time. Will Smith, 10 years, $140 million. That was a contract extension. I think that and Cal Raleigh's deal, which pays him significantly more average annual value at 6 years, $105 million. Like, they know that catchers are not as appreciated as they probably should be on the free agent market because there's fear about them aging. And so get your bag now. And I don't think Cal Raleigh gave up a whole lot in terms of value to get the deal that he got. Could he have made 20, 25 million more? Potentially, sure. But to lock in a 9-figure contract when your lifetime batting average is like 220 something, it's pretty great. And I think it's I'm not saying that this deal sways enormously in Cal Raleigh's favor. I think the Mariners had to do this. He's such an integral part of this team. And when you have a catcher who has the respect of the pitching staff that he does, who has the ability behind the plate, whether it's with his arm or with his glove, and framing pitches to impact the game on the defensive side, you want to send the message to people on the team and to people who are prospectively coming via free agency to Seattle that we have a rock-solid core here. We have Julio Rodriguez, who's one of the best center fielders in baseball. We have Cal Raleigh, who's one of the best catchers in baseball. That right there is a really good place to start and two really good guys to build around.
Jeffrey, professional question with a little bit of personal to this one, just kind of globally, before I get to torpedo bats as well, but just kind of globally. Was it a week ago, Salk? We talked about the Minnesota Twins trying to sell. Can they not get $1.7 billion?
$1.7 billion with $425 million worth of debt.
That was after the Celtics sold for $6.2 billion and everything else. So that's one. I looked yesterday, the A's, the Sacramento A's, have a Costco shed that they have built outside of the ballpark for their media. Really, really nice Costco shed. I look at what ESPN, has said to the league as well with some of the baseball rights and the package and everything else. Just kind of globally, big picture, and the looming, labor dispute maybe in a couple years. You have a concern. Where's your concern meter for the game that we all love?
Yeah, it's really funny because I went on foul territory, I think it was last week, and was talking about how I think the game is in a good place, and people pushed back on that idea. And I wasn't specific enough. When I say the game's in a good place, I think the on-field product is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're, in terms of like marketable stars, it's at the best place it's been in a long time. And Shohei Ohtani's at the forefront, but it goes beyond that. Like, there are a lot of guys who are sort of penetrating the zeitgeist right now in baseball, and that is credit to the sport. Like, the on-field product is really good, but there are questions of the sport's long-term viability with the Dodgers being as much of a machine as they are. And if Major League Baseball can try and go like la 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 la, but it's not going to drown out the sound of fans who are aggrieved at where the disparity in the game is right now financially. And that leads to discussions of the salary cap, which lead to discussions of a long lockout, which would be bad for everybody involved. So I think the two issues that are paramount, let's go three at this moment. Number one, labor peace. If baseball doesn't have labor peace, it is the most self-inflicted wound imaginable. Number two, television rights. And this ties into number three, which is financial disparity. Like, you need to listen to your fans. And even though I think a lot of them can be ignorant in terms of what the actual effect some of these financial disparities have on the game. Like, for example, a lot of fans make a big deal of deferred money. Deferred money is not a big deal. I get why people are mad about it, but that also means they don't understand it. Like, you still have to pay a large chunk of what guys are owed and put it in a bank account presently. Actually, you can do it 2 years after. But the point is, funding deferred money, you still got to fund it. You still got to put money away. So it's not like these teams are just passing the bill off to the future. It's not like the Dodgers are saying that, we're just going to throw everything 10 years down the road and that'll be someone else's problem. No, that's not how it works.
Well,
it's a tool that especially California-based teams can use because of the tax implications. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I'm just curious.
You're an anti-deferral guy?
No, I'm not. I don't care about it one way or another. Honestly, I think you're right. But all of this to me, and I'm probably, there's a little confirmation bias in this for me. Not a huge surprise. But all of it to me comes back to the fact that I think there is going to have to be a salary cap. So if I'm deferring money, what does that mean for salary cap stuff down the road? Or I just think the Dodgers are setting themselves up for not just now, but the future.
I completely disagree with your premise, but I'm curious here. Why do you think there has to be a salary cap?
I think that everything you just said is leading to it. When I hear when we go through the price of teams versus the valuation on other teams and other sports, when we talk about the amount of money that's coming off of the income ledger with the death of the RSNs, when we talk about, as you just said, the fans and their anger about the disparity across the league, I think, and we know the owners have wanted this forever.
And every other league has
other league has it. The NFL and all the other leagues are, I mean, it just feels almost inevitable to me. And I know the players are going to battle like hell to keep it out of the game, but I just don't see how they avoid it. At some point, this is the only way. If I were Major League Baseball teams, I would be releasing my financials. Like, okay, here it is. I understand why the NFL doesn't do that because they don't want people to know how much money they're making. But if I was a baseball, the baseball money is all being made in terms of growth of the value. It's not being made in the day-to-day, as you know. So, release it. Here you go. We're not making enough money.
Mike, I think it depends on the franchise.
Fair point. Yes, you're right. But if you're the Minnesota Twins, release the financials. Show them whether or not you're making any money, and people might be surprised. And I wonder if that could sway even more public opinion to having a salary cap, which I think they are going to eventually have.
Mike, do you remember? It's funny you bring up the Twins specifically because back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Twins did release their financials. They said, well, not the full books or anything, but they talked about how they were losing money, and it was not true.
Was that when they were going to contract the Twins because of the Bull ads?
Exactly. They were saying we do not have a viable business model going forward, and here they are 25 years later with a beautiful new stadium and a franchise that's worth 10 times what it was back then.
Right.
So and I think that is an important point to know, because the playbook hasn't changed. They're still going to cry poor. They always cry poor. It's what owners do. The question that fans need to ask themselves when they're pushing for a salary cap, and in that, I don't know if you're pushing for it or suggesting that it's just an inevitability. Regardless, I think the question that needs to be asked is very simple. Does a salary cap solve the problems that Major League Baseball currently has? I don't know that it does. I don't know that a salary cap leads to the sort of parity necessarily that people have been led to believe that it's going to. I think all you have to do is look at the number of Super Bowl champions over the last, since the turn of the century. Not a lot of teams, not a ton of parity in terms of championships, and if that's the end goal in Major League Baseball, we haven't seen a repeat champion since the 1998 to 2000 Yankees.
Well, this is a much bigger conversation for another day. Jeff, give us 30 seconds on these bats.
Torpedo bats, going to change the game.
I hope it changes the game.
Are you going to be writing another book called The Bat?
No, I will not be writing another book called The Bat, though it is a really fascinating story, and I'm shocked that it has taken this long for this technology to come into play, because it is really a very simple and logical thing. Where you hit the ball more, you want the most mass, right?
Yep.
And so that's what Aaron Leonard did with the Yankees, and I feel like we're going to be talking a lot about this because there are going to be a lot of players. I had one person tell me already this is the biggest headache that we've had in 10 years because every player now thinks a torpedo bat is going to make him into an all-star.
Not here, Jeff. You don't need them here. The Mariners going to be just fine.
Torpedoes get shot down in the marine layer here. They don't make it out. They don't even make it out.
We got actual nuclear subs going up and down the Puget Sound here, straight through the Straits of Juan de Fuca. So we don't need torpedo bats. We're just fine.
The what of what?
Thank you, Jeffrey.
You don't know about the Straits of Juan de Fuca? Jeff, go do a little research.
Juan
Come
de
on.
Fuca. Thank you.
Go do some. Go learn your geography.
It is rare that I get out nerded, but Mike Salk, I give you a gold star.
Hey, Jeff, seriously.
Go return that call.
Seriously, really happy to have you back for the year. Every Tuesday, 8:30 with Jeff Passan all throughout the baseball season. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Can't wait. See you, boys.
There you go. There's Jeff Passan. We'll come right back. Man, there's like a million things to argue about after that. But also, Brock, we should change gears, and we'll come back to the baseball. Let's go around the owners' meetings. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on in Palm Beach. Moore's got a bunch of sound. There's more news coming out today. Let's address it next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy. Weekdays 10 to 2.
What might be different with Dan Wilson? The type of baseball that feels slightly more sustainable. Like when they won last year, this is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Maybe you score late, maybe your run production is in an inning, maybe two. It's usually bombs, and then your pitching is elite enough to hold the other team to two or less.
Bombs won the game. But we know the philosophy of this team is kind of just put the ball in play and advance these runners.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
At Rocket, we believe everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. So if you're feeling locked out of home ownership, we're here to give you back the keys. We're opening doors, breaking down walls, and doing everything we can to turn renters into owners. And we're not going to stop until we help everyone home. To find out more, visit rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
Hey, baseball fans, Rick Riz here. I'm excited to introduce you to my good friend Keith Dashafy, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Keith?
Thanks, Rick. At Pella Windows and Doors, we pride ourselves on delivering top-quality windows and doors that enhance the beauty and energy efficiency of your home. Our products are built to last with innovative designs and exceptional craftsmanship. Whether you're looking to upgrade your windows or install new doors, Pella has you covered.
That's fantastic, Keith. Don't wait. Schedule your free appointment today at PellaPNW.com.
March is here, and Toyota of Renton and Toyota of Kirkland have teamed up to take away your car buying madness. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, they have the widest selection of new and certified used inventory and the largest savings in the region. Now that's a slam dunk. The all-star staff at Toyota of Renton and Kirkland will assist you with a test drive, and you can score that car the very same day. Come see for yourself or visit online at toyotaofrenton.com or toyotaofkirkland.com.
Hey, Brock Ewart here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home and make price-boosting upgrades with no cost until close. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get in the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
And Brooke, you are. And Brooke, you are.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
Oh, man. A lot to come back to there from Mr. Passan. Lot to come back there from Mr. Passan. That labor thing is... I don't know. It just sort of hangs over everything, and it's too bad to kind of get into a conversation about it. It probably went longer than it should just because there's so much actual baseball to talk. So my apologies on that, but also, like, it just hangs over everything to me right now.
Yeah, and, the bummer, Salk, when we were doing this 10, 12, 15 years ago, we talked about the lack of marketability and where's the stars in this game. And the talent is the best it's ever been since we've been on the air for 16 years. The Shohei Ohtanis, the Bobby Witts, the Ella De La Cruz, the Julio Rodriguez, the level of athleticism, the level of talent, the way these guys throw and the way they pitch and the way they command, the talent has never, ever been better. But it just is, all kind of in one spot, and that's a little problematic. Or two spots or three spots. So.
Yeah, and that valuation thing is just going to stick with me. Anyway, so meanwhile, while the baseball owners are doing what they do, the football owners are all gathering in Palm Beach, and they're making some big decisions there as well. Let's run through some of this, because I've also got coaches, and I got a lot of sound. Let's see if I can go through this quick.
Okay.
Let's start with the decisions made today. They are tabling for now the conversation about the tush push.
Just too much unrest. There are definitely, I think, two sides to this. There are those, and I love Sirianni, the coach of Philly, saying, well, I know I got Gannon's vote. I know I got Kellen's vote. I know I got some of these votes because, they've all been the beneficiaries, getting head coaching jobs with the success of this. There's certainly others on the other side of it that don't like it. I would say this. I would not call it. I think the presentation was all wrong. That if you're going to use this as a player safety, you're going to miss the mark. As Brady said, the data doesn't support that. If you want to say it's a fecal blizzard and just look at the playoff game where Washington jumped over the line 4 straight times and created just this mess, I think if you don't want it, that may be the road you've got to go down. You got to make it just so uncomfortable, like this is just stupid. So we're just going to keep jumping off sides and hope you flinch. And hope that you go 5 yards backward and can't run this play.
All right.
So
They also decided not to utilize the idea that I think you and I both loved, which was the Lions' proposal to not make defensive holding or illegal contact an automatic first down. I don't know why you would kill that. That's a great idea.
I would agree. I think that one's going to need a little more time in the competition committee incubator. I think that just kind of came out, without data. What is this team doing? This would so benefit Detroit because they play so much man and they're so aggressive. I think that's one that's going to, hopefully in time, with a little bit more data, come into play.
Let's see what else we've got. Jets owner Woody Johnson, clearly distraught at being the only owner to receive an F in the NFLPA survey.
Bidwell didn't get an F?
Yeah, huh?
Bidwell didn't.
Usually the Bidwells do,
got
but
an F minus.
Well, regardless. Well, maybe he's the only one who got an F because Bidwell got an F minus. He's taking the now very common strategy of when you disagree with polls, you just make up, how it happened. So he just says how they collected the information and who they collected it from. It was supposed to be according to the agreement we have with the league. Oh, they broke the agreement, Brock. It's supposed to be a process where we have representatives. Shut up! I can't even finish reading this.
Yeah.
Bidwell was a D-, by the way.
D-? Okay.
I honestly can't even finish reading that.
Because the reality, Mr. Johnson, is everybody's under the same parameters. So whether you don't like it or not, or you think like everybody, had the same flawed system in your view, and you were the worst of the worst. It's kind of like the PFF grades. You may not like it. You may not think the guys sitting there watching the tape under the light know what they're looking at or what the scheme is or whatever, but at least they're all under the same parameters with the grading. And you're under the same parameters of the grading as Arizona was and the Minnesota was and Miami was.
This is what your players are saying. It's not what the press is saying or the fans. It's your players.
And the
Either
fact that you
choose to
can't
listen
take
to
that
them or
in
not.
is why you're a bad owner.
Right. Browns owner.
It was like me yesterday, by the way. Let me just personal confession.
Yeah.
Driving to Titus's basketball banquet last night, and I screwed up a name at 7-on-7 Sunday. I called him Marquez instead, or Mark, I don't know. And Titus in the back seat's like, Mom, we got to address this. His dad coaches. He can't screw up names like this. And I was like, easy. It was one name, not that big a deal. And then it just grew into this, no, it's more than a name. You got to take the time. And I didn't want to listen. I was like Woody Johnson. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I'm not listening to this. And Molly's like, I've been married to you almost 26 years. Will you listen to your son? Woody Johnson, will you listen to your players, please?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, Molly's right. Kind of with Titus on that one. Like, yeah, you got to listen.
I know I got to improve a little bit. I didn't want to hear it
in
that moment, but I'm going to confess.
Well, it's a good thing that there was no. Brock, Woody should just blame the press for asking him about this.
Yeah.
If only he'd been in your situation with only his wife around, everything would be fine.
Yep.
But instead, the stupid press got involved. Now made this into a real story.
Yeah. And I tried to blame CTE.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You didn't play long enough, Dad. Sorry. Okay. You didn't get hit that much in the NFL. I'm sorry."
Browns owner, more owners, Jimmy Haslam, he is admitting he might have made a mistake in trading for Deshaun Watson in 2022 and then giving him a guaranteed contract. He says, we took a big swing and miss with Deshaun.
Yeah, 3 first-rounders and $250 million guaranteed dollars.
He's still on the team. How can you say about a guy who's on your team still for years, we took a big swing and miss? We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't.
Do you think Deshaun would mind that? Do you think in any way he's bothered by that?
No, because he's making his money no matter what.
That's right.
But still, how do you come back from that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you got a torn Achilles, too. By the way, did you see the news on Tiger Woods this morning? Was it fake news?
Of course it was. It's April Fool's Day.
Okay, never mind.
Get
Go ahead.
out of here. Let's see. Mike Tomlin doesn't know what the Steelers are going to do at quarterback, but he's fine with Mason Rudolph.
That's why we brought him back. I'm comfortable with that, man. We've been there before. He's a very capable guy.
Is that April Fool's, too?
No, he's just comfortable with Mason Rudolph, so it's fine. Everything is just fine because he's got nothing new to say about Aaron Rodgers.
He's a free agent. As you guys know, he came to visit last Friday. We had a really productive day. He's been in this thing a long time. I've been in this thing a long time. But it's no substitute for, intimacy and spending time together and getting to know one another in a non-competitive environment. And so that was really good. But I don't have any new updates in terms of where the process is. We'll see where it leads us.
Well, I guess I'll agree with Mike Tomlin. There is no substitute for intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Such a weird word choice.
There is no substitute.
It sounded like a Pete Carroll comment.
For intimacy.
If you would have said and guessed which coach said this, just that quote, there's no substitute for intimacy, I think I would have put Pete on that list, not Tomlin. And by the way, ayahuasca, do you smoke it or eat it or drink? What do they do? Do you think they did any of that in that 6-hour intimate period?
There is no substitute for intimacy.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Actually,
I mean, it's true.
That's actually one of my lines.
No.
That's something that could come out of my mouth,
Is
actually. Well, yeah, you always say that all the time. Like you say stuff that has sexual innuendo because you're so repressed.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Mike Tomlin is too. I don't know what his personal life is like. Maybe he's as repressed as you are. Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf apparently getting intimate on the field.
Look, it is a process for Aaron Rodgers, and my understanding is the latest step in the process, was over the weekend at UCLA. He threw to DK Metcalf.
What?
They did have a throwing session. The two of them together, according to sources informed of that workout. So Rodgers going through the process and checking all the boxes, and I assume it was a good throwing session there with him and Metcalf. So we'll see if that leads to him saying, you know what, yeah, I'm fully in. I like that guy. I like that target right there.
I actually have some sound of that session if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, yeah, could we?
Ayahuasca is usually described as a grandmother spirit. And I met her and walked with her through past, present, and future lives.
Wow.
And DK said, do you want some M&Ms, some hot tamales, some gummy bears? Because I just eat candy.
What a bizarre combination. But, hey, what do I know? It sounds like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston have been like best friends for the last decade. So who the heck knows anymore? That's a little update from the owners' meetings.
Spin around. My head is spinning.
I know. There was a lot going on. We'll come back with everything you need to know next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob. Weekdays 2 to 7.
Cooper Kupp is with us. Welcome to Seattle, man. I heard in the press conference, you were looking at like the pictures around here going, man, I remember where I was as a little kid when that happened.
It's a special thing. I was talking about, the experiences, the memories. My wife grew up in Washington. I obviously grew up here. This whole full circle moment of being able to come back here and be a part of things in Washington State. So it's a really cool thing.
Hear the rest of this interview on demand at seattlesports.com and on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Well, Titus wasn't buying my excuse of concussions yesterday, and I don't blame him, but there were a lot of other injuries over the years. Separated shoulder, I got some fractures in my back, dislocated my ankle, all sorts of fun stuff. But you don't have to play quarterback or pro sports to know what I'm talking about. I know as many of you on this Tuesday morning hear my voice, you woke up with painful joints from arthritis and tendonitis and bursitis and just the aches and pains that come with life. Well, if that's the case, then you need to reach out to my friend, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine right over there in Kirkland. He has seen so many patients through his years suffering from chronic joint pain caused by arthritis. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Consider Dr. Nelson, and I can say this confidently, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques. Many have jumped aboard lately over the last 10, 15 years with regenerative medicine. Not Dr. Dan. This has been his business, helping people for well over 3 decades. So if you're in pain this morning, call Dr. Dan at 425-823-4000, 425-823-4000, or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
Are you working in the refrigeration industry? Are you staying up on current regulations? Well, Local 32 can help advance your career. That's right. Learn more at UALocal32.com. Again, that's UALocal32.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Did you know that your windows and doors are your main source of energy loss? At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, our windows with triple weather stripping and gasket seals are up to 25% more efficient than Energy Star standards. LakeWashingtonWindows.com, a name you can trust.
The noon hour of the Bump and Stacy Show is powered every day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to PendergastLaw.com.
Bob Stelton here for Asset Roofing, and they have got the perfect slogan. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset, and I witnessed this firsthand when I met Anthony, the owner, and again when I had him do work on my roof. Now this spring, replace your aging roof with Asset Roofing because you're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Check them out at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Hey.
To me, the LJ way is to provide an experience that people really enjoy being a part of. And they enjoy being a part of it because they're getting great service. They're talking with somebody that actually they feel cares about them. They care about what their impression is going to be walking away. It's also understanding you're now part of our family, and thank you for doing the business with us. And this is how we're going to show our appreciation through customer service. We're going to show our appreciation with taking care of you if you ever have an issue. Majority of the people that are coming to see us are within our community. These are people who are providing maybe services that we also use in our community. So the LJ way, to me, somebody can come into a retail setting and not feel like they got to have their guard up. And that's been a long-standing thing in the car business that, we've tried to shake.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Rough go for the Mariners yesterday, especially Emerson Hancock. Unfortunately, just didn't have it, and that happens.
Too much over the middle of the plate, Salky. Is that what it was?
He's just missing his spots. Yeah. Right? I mean, you miss your spots. And
his velo was pretty good, wasn't it? Like 95.
But look, Emerson
96?
Hancock has good, not great stuff. Mm-hmm. And when you miss your spots and don't have command, the velo is not going to mean a whole lot. And unfortunately, that's what happened last night. Gave up 6 runs in the first. In fact, didn't get out of the first, only got 2 outs in the game. And afterwards, he recognized that it's just not what he needed to do.
Yeah, I think super frustrated just because, I didn't do my part in helping us get a win. I kind of put us too big of a hole early on, and I just didn't give us a chance at all, especially just to kind of get off that bad of a start. And I got to execute better. I have to, find a way to get out of that inning. That way we can get out and, maybe get some more length out of that game, or, maybe you get into a rhythm and settle in later. But I didn't do my job.
He didn't, and unfortunately, they weren't able to battle back from it. Credit to Saucedo, Snyder, Vargas, Bizzardo. Kind of the low-leverage portion of the pen actually did its job last night, especially Vargas is pretty good. And they were able to save the high-leverage relievers from having to come in and enter that game, which is good.
And even give him a shot at 8-4 with a couple runners on base in the 5th inning with your buddy Rowdy, and left-on-left crime did not work out so well.
No, it really didn't. It doesn't make a lot of sense, man. You get to an 8-4 game in the 5th inning. You got 2 lefties coming up against a lefty. All right, you want to let one of them hit, and it's Raley, fine. I just can't really grasp why you would let Rowdy Tellez hit in that spot. This is what Dan Wilson said.
Yeah, I mean, it's different when it's early like that, and we got a long way to go, and that was the thinking there. And I think we saw from Rails a pretty good left-on-left at-bat, and, we saw great at-bats all night long.
I guess I would just say that that's sort of your moment.
Yeah, the previous at-bat really has nothing to do with Rowdy Tellez and DH, right? And, I mean, this is not to be hypercritical of one move, because who knows? Even if Garver comes in and drives in a run, the odds of coming all the way back and winning that thing are still long. But that is what Mitch Garver is a DH is for, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Is a right-handed. He actually has hit lefties. That's the one thing he's done well. So if you're Mitch Garver, you're probably the one most peeved about that, correct? Like, come on, man. Like, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And Rowdy's not off to a blazing start, no matter how good spring numbers were. He's not off to a terrific start. So give me that opportunity. He didn't get it. The team didn't get it, and they didn't get the win.
Yeah, kind of disappointing. 2-3 now in the season. They got 2 more against Detroit. Logan Gilbert back up on the mound tonight for start number 2. He will face Casey Mize, and then they've got a getaway day matinee.
So must win. You got to win this one.
It's already must win.
Yeah, must
wow,
win.
How about that?
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Not must win, but
you want to go 2-5 on your opening homestand?
I mean, yeah, I don't really want to put yourself in a position where that's a possibility. Yeah,
I don't
either.
I like winners.
You know what else I'd like? I'd like a offensive lineman or 2 here in Seattle, but
I know we do. Yeah.
John Schneider's not interested in that because unfortunately, Brock, there's just no centers this year.
The other interesting thing that Schneider said today was he was asked about the possibility of finding an upgrade at either guard or center in the draft, and he basically volunteered that it's not a very good draft for centers, and so he said it's going to be hard to find an upgrade at center in the draft because of that, and also the other part of that response was that they do like Jalen Sundell and Oluwatimi more than a lot of people realize, but part of that equation is they feel like they've got the right system in place and the right coaching staff, and in terms of the teachers and the scheme.
It really is remarkable how much it mirrors or mimics exactly what the Mariners said this offseason.
Oh, in so many different ways to shoot teams.
Really amazing.
One search for hitting, can't ever find it. One search for alignment, can't really ever find it. One, is mixing the scheme and personnel and bring in a lot of intellectual. Yeah,
it is sort of amazing, right?
Find
You
great
hear
players.
it.
You know what happens? Great players change so much of that narrative.
Exactly.
Yep. Not easy to do.
Yeah.
Constraints on both, but that's usually the Jimmies and Joes handle a lot of
The other interesting thing from Brady Henderson is that he says that DK Metcalf had asked for trades before.
Let's say DK Metcalf, for instance, he's obviously a better receiver than, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and I would say he's a better receiver at this point of their careers than Cooper Kupp. But what does that look like when, you pay a guy who's been unhappy for the last few years? And, from what I understand, that trade request that DK Metcalf made, before the start of free agency, that was not the first time that he's requested a trade. And from my understanding, that's happened several times over the past few off seasons. And so, I think the question is, would you want to give a third contract to a player, deal with the inherent risk in doing so, and also deal with a guy who's been unhappy? And by the way, being unhappy several years ago when he was still fresh into that contract, that tells me that, his unhappiness wasn't always necessarily related to how much money he was making. And if that's the case, then giving him a new contract, I don't know if that necessarily solves the problem.
Like Mike Tomlin talks about, Salk. Talks about intimacy and not wanting hostages.
Yes.
We don't need hostages.
No, we want to be intimate instead.
Yes.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Kraken lose to Dallas again. They got 7 games left in this
Are you looking forward
season.
to not having to mention those results after 7 more games? Like, enough. Like, they're one of the 5 worst teams. It's remarkable. It's sad. It's
It is. You know what? No, I'm not looking forward to it because I like hockey. I like hockey season.
I'm looking forward to you not having to comment on it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would obviously be...
I know it sounds terrible, but just this has been a really lost season.
It has been. It really has. I think that's a great description of it. It has been a lost season, and it's too bad. I really want this sport to catch on.
And I know they're
it's
not
going to be
across
hard.
the street. Royal Brougham and the Seahawks and the Mariners are there, and the Kraken are down the road a little bit at Climate Pledge and their facility that you love, that you frequent quite often, the Kraken Iceplex or whatever it is even further north. But they're running the same issue, and that is just stars.
Yep.
Do I have enough difference-making stars?
Enough difference making players in general. Paige Beckers is one of those, and she helped lead her team to victory last night. They're going back to the Final Four. UConn is, and so is Texas after beating TCU. That is everything you need to know. Cecily, we were talking about the teams that were up at her tournament this weekend. I was like, yeah, this one team drove forever from the UConn to come down, and Cecily heard it as like Connecticut. She's like, from UConn? Whoa. So it was.
It's a long ways across the
country. I know, yeah. We had to talk through the different spellings of UConn, which hadn't really ever dawned on me until she brought that up yesterday.
Are we answering questions today, Jerk, or not?
I think that's the plan. Do you want to?
I think so. I think there could be some good ones.
You think so?
Well, there's been a little bit of feist so far.
A little feist.
There's
been a little feist. All right, let's do that. We'll answer questions. 20 minutes, 866-979-3776. Any question on any subject, text us. 866-979-3776. That is the Mac and Jack's text line. Etiquette or, I always bring that up because that tends to lead to good stuff. Food, certainly. Brock hasn't eaten in like 3 weeks or something.
Did you see what I retweeted, by the way?
I didn't.
You didn't see that chorizo and cheese wrapped in bacon donut that you smoke?
Oh. That sounds pretty good, but chorizo.
So you slice up the onion, you put the chorizo around it, then you wrap it in bacon, then you smoke it.
Huh.
It's
okay,
like
when you first said it, for some reason,
donut.
when you said chorizo, my mind went to churro. I was like, now you're mixing things in a way that I'm not into.
A lot of pork.
Yeah, that is a lot of pork. I'll have to ask your number 14 guy today about that. We'll answer questions, 866-979-3776. We'll answer the question, Jerk, coming up in a few minutes on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy. Weekdays 10 to 2.
Abe Luke is going to be the most important player on this offense. Why? Because when he is available and he is playing, him and Charles Cross are going to hold it down. It's all about keeping the band together. And the band has been split up a lot over the past couple of years, right? We saw rookies play tackle. We saw rookies play guard. But when Abe and Charles Cross are playing together, those bookends hold it down. It's Abe Lucas, man.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, it is that time of the year. So much rain, right? Early spring, late winter, and it can wreak havoc on your crawl space. What happens if rain or groundwater gets into that crawl space? Big time problems, right? Including structural damage or maybe even toxic mold. That's why you got Crawl Pros, right? They can come in, they'll check the whole thing out. They can keep your crawl space dry. They can install a sump pump and drainage, reroute all of that water back out and away from your home. They'll take care of any mold that's been created, and they can even address any plumbing issues that you may have in your crawl space. They came out to my house. They did a free corner-to-corner inspection. They told me what was wrong. And then they fixed it. It's pretty easy. The best way to learn about any issues is to have Crawl Pros visit your home and inspect your crawl space for free. Here's what you want to do. Go to crawlpros.com to schedule that free inspection. That's crawlpros.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
All right, keep up. It's me, the radar gun at T-Mobile Park. And these Mariners pitchers have me working overtime. 3 all-star aces, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and George Kirby throwing absolute gas.
Holy smokes, what a performance. Strikeout number 10 on the night.
And don't forget about Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, the young guns. Those guys get me fired all the way up.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
And just when you think you've survived, here comes Andres Munoz dialing up triple digits and shutting the door. Oh boy, I'm giddy just thinking about it.
Back-to-back strikeouts, and the ball game is over.
Trust me, you're going to want to grab a seat and feel the speed for yourself. And there we go again. I got to make sure my batteries are charged. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Be here for the Mariners opening homestand at T-Mobile Park. The fun continues this week with 2 more chances to score a Julio bat flip bobblehead tonight at 6:40 and tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. Both games are Mariners value games, which means you can score seats starting at just $10 at mariners.com/value game.
When an 18-wheeler ran a red light and took the life of a Tacoma man in 2021, his family trusted Davis Law Group to fight for them. And we recovered a $3.5 million settlement and held the trucking company accountable for his death. Accident victims have trusted Davis Law Group to win their case for the past 30 years. And hundreds of 5-star reviews from real clients are proof that we've earned that trust. Call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
It's our 23rd anniversary, and we're celebrating by giving you the chance to become a millionaire. That's right, a chance at $1 million. Join us on this road to riches every Saturday in April, with 2 winners drawn every hour from 4 to 9 p.m. But the fun doesn't stop there. At 10 p.m. on the 26th, we're giving away a 2025 Mercedes-Benz worth $50 grand. Don't forget, your Reef Rewards card can save you up to 25 cents per gallon at Lummi Bay Market next to Silver Reef. Silver Reef Casino Resort, located off I-5 exit 260.
Swedish Cyberknife is expanding. Dave Wyman with exciting news about Swedish adding a second Cyberknife in Seattle. Cyberknife is a non-invasive, extremely precise prostate cancer radiotherapy treatment. Compared with other radiation therapies, which last 6 to 9 weeks, the Cyberknife treatment period is much shorter, typically 5 days with daily sessions under an hour. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/Cyberknife Prostate.
It's the World Fighting Championships at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center. Saturday night, May 10th. Experience the thrill of live MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss this exciting mixed martial arts event. The World Fighting Championships, May 10th at Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
March is here, and Toyota of Renton and Toyota of Kirkland have teamed up to take away your car buying madness. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, they have the widest selection of new and certified used inventory and the largest savings in the region. Now that's a slam dunk. The all-star staff at Toyota of Renton and Kirkland will assist you with a test drive, and you can score that car the very same day. Come see for yourself or visit online at toyotaofrenton.com or toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, good questions that have come in, Brock, for Answer the Question Jerk. We'll do that here in about 10, 15 minutes at 9:45. Looking forward to that. It has been a busy and maybe feisty day that you've mentioned a couple of times for good reason. I did want to talk about few things while we have some time. One is I wanted to come back to this trade proposal that Moore had sent over from Bill Barnwell. I think it's an interesting one. In his scenario, a mock draft with 32 trades. So he does, though, here's one trade each team could make, okay? Mm-hmm. And in his scenario, the Seahawks get guard Wyatt. They give up their 18th pick. That's it. They just give up the 18th pick in exchange for moving back to number 33, so 15 picks, the first pick in the second round. They also get a third-round pick, the third pick in the third round, number 67. And they get guard Wyatt Teller from the Browns, who was a Pro Bowler a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. You make that. He's 30 years old. You make that move?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of move that I think would quiet a lot of the angst of this offseason. Like, wow. And then, the logical there, and Barnwell mentions this, is that's where Tevin Jenkins signed, right? Who, according to the PFF grades, was a much better player than Lincoln Tomlinson and a much better player than even this guy.
So why didn't you just do that?
Because you just really were concerned about his, intangibles. Not the tangibles, a little more concerned of the intangibles. And you know what? So is Cleveland, because I think he got $3 million. I mean, it was not a big deal by any means. And also, does that number then tell you that, well, Cleveland's willing to move on from this guard, or is he just kind of an insurance policy for two aging guards that they have that are good players? I don't know. But would I do that deal on the surface? That sure sounds great. Peel back the onion a little bit, as I did in Blue 88, and look at actually this guy's grades from last year, and you see, his grades are no different than Lincoln Tomlinson's grades. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was the 65th best guard in run blocking and the 67th best guard and out of 130 in pass blocking, and that's pretty much what Lincoln Tomlinson was for you at left guard last year.
You know what's kind of weird about this trade? The value of the 18 pick is not that much more than the second and third round pick that you'd be getting back. So I'm just looking. This is the Pro Football Reference chart. There's, I'm sure, a million of these I could look at. But
I think you're also giving back a fourth, right? So
not in his scenario.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought as I looked at that, they're giving back a fourth as well.
No, okay. It values Teller as the 114th pick. Mm-hmm. So that right around the middle of the fourth round. Because I'm looking at it, and according to this chart, now again, there's a million charts. The Seahawks draft pick number 18 is worth 900 points. Mm-hmm. That second round, and the other two combined are worth 835. The 835th pick, or 835 draft value, would be between like 20 and 21. So it's not significantly far off, right? I mean, you're talking about 65 points. I mean, according to this pick, those 65 points are worth nothing, like not even a draft pick, not even a 7th round pick. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I take it back. No, he's right. It's worth a 6th or a 4th rounder.
There you go.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong category.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, if you like the player, if you feel like he's still got some juice, he's going to go in the final year of his deal. He's been an excellent player for 2 or 3 years. He was a 5th round pick that they developed into a Pro Bowl player. That's always what you want. That is always best case scenario. But I think in your situation, would that do what you've talked about? Would that free up the board? And we'll talk about this with DJ tomorrow. Would that free up the board even that much more to really be aggressive? John did talk yesterday about trades And obviously with 5 picks in the top 93, it gives him an immense amount of ammo already, even before a deal like this. This would then give you 7 of the top 93. And yeah, no first rounder, but man, a lot of picks right there in the meat and potatoes of this
7.
draft.
Wait, what do you have now?
You have 5.
Yeah, so this will give you 6.
It would give you, that's right.
You're only adding
first to
1.
second. There you go.
Yeah, but you'd also have a guard. It would give you 6 and a player that is worth a 4th rounder. So I don't know. I guess I just keep coming back to the same point I made yesterday. Yes, I would make this deal. I would still probably do this. But it continues to point out, like, well, why didn't you just do something earlier?
Because you didn't like those guys. And
Any
I
of
can't
them?
say it enough.
Any of them?
And I know you don't want to hear this, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, and I know you don't have the benefit of the doubt.
But you can't not like anyone.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
From a value standpoint, yes, you can.
At some point, you have to like someone. At some point, you have to like someone. You can't like no one.
So do you disagree? Do you think it's just a lie that he's saying all of Rick Dennison and all of the new people really actually do like Sundell? They actually do like Olu Olutimi. They actually do like Lamea. They actually do like Christian Haynes. They actually like those guys more than they like Tevin Jenkins and, the 6 or 7 other guys they brought through the building. Do you think that's just a falsehood? Because
I think calling it a lie would obviously be something I wouldn't want to say out loud.
Season. It's April Fool's Day.
I don't think I would call it a lie.
A fool's errand?
But that would disturb me if that was 100% true. Because I think that if they like Jalen Sundell, for example, more than all of those guys that change teams, they would be in the very, very vast minority throughout the NFL. Maybe that's a good thing. I'm not going to just tell you it's obviously wrong, but Jalen Sundell was undrafted last year, whereas those other guys are going for some pretty big money and have had really good seasons. I'm not saying he can't be better. He could be, but that's pretty hard for me to believe. And it does sound a lot like, our offense is just going to get fixed by changing the approach.
Correct.
That's hard for me to fathom.
Yeah.
It could work. It could be true.
Well, I
but
think
it's hard for me to hear that. And then also, we don't like any of the opportunities that have been out there to try to upgrade it.
Yeah. I mean, what further complicates this a little bit from their neighbor across the street is there's a little more resume, a little more track record of some struggle for a number of those guys over there, or so much age and everything else versus these are young guys. I mean, Olu is a young guy. He's a 5th-round pick. Christian Haynes is a young guy. Year number 2 is a 3rd-round pick. Sundell, as you mentioned, is an undrafted guy. So it's always that projection and potential. And we know in the NFL, potential is a coach killer. If it's always potential, you're going to run through as you've run through coordinator, O-line coach.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's hard is that, they felt that way about Phil Haynes, and they felt that way about, I feel like it just kind of hurt it.
The benefit of the doubt you don't get. You don't get because of the struggles of the last few
And in the
years,
meantime, I'm watching Minnesota say, we have a good guy and we'd like to get even better. Let's go get Ryan Kelly. And I'm seeing and then I hear, there's nobody available. Well, Ryan Kelly was available.
Right.
Minnesota wanted to upgrade. That's what they went out and did. Well, I'm glad you don't like the 4th round of I don't care if he's not signing anyone now. I wouldn't sign any of the guys left on the market now either.
Yeah, but 2 years and $18 million for Ryan Kelly. All right, that's what Minnesota, the market was willing to do. What Minnesota was willing to look at Will Fries and go, okay, we'll pass inspection, we'll waive it. Yeah, we'll waive inspection. Come out here and
I guess what I'm saying is at the end of this year, your offensive line better be better than Minnesota's.
Yep.
Right? I mean, if you're making those evaluations, I really hope you're right. And at the end of the year, the offensive line is better than Minnesota's because that one's going to be held up as a shining example. Chicago's too.
Yeah.
You could have done what those two teams did to the interior of your offensive line. You chose not to.
That's right.
So you better be right at the end of this. And it's hard when you then hear, they're going to do it in the draft. Well, actually, there's no centers in the draft. Like, sheesh. Well, all right. You're really limiting the number of possibilities here.
No whammy. Yeah, it does. It feels like a double whammy. And, the next 26 days, I do think we start with April Fools, the start of a little bit of lying season, a little bit of manipulation season, a little bit of leverage season. When I do hear John talk about trades, I think, there will be, and none of that really happens until after these owners meetings, and they do spend time, as he talked about yesterday. Where do you see these guys? How do you feel about the, and hopefully get a sense, and everybody's not totally blatantly lying, and you get a pretty good sense of where that market will be as you get closer to the
Good
draft.
point being made here from 206. Chicago and Minnesota both have the luxury of rookie quarterback contracts. That's true. That's a very good point. It's one that I've brought up a lot last year when we were talking about Geno Smith's future and whether or not it was worth investing in it any longer. And while you don't have that, you did just save some money on both Geno and at wide receiver.
Oh, they got money.
If you wanted to spend on Ryan Kelly, for example, you could have. It wasn't the money.
Oh, no, they got plenty in the kitty right now.
If you'd wanted to do that, you could have. It's a good point. Chicago, Minnesota do have that luxury. It is a good point.
And if you want to take on Wyatt Teller's $10 million, $12 million, whatever, I think the cap number's $14 million, and you want to take on all of that, Salk, to get the benefit of the draft, you've got enough cap space to be able to do that. But you and your personnel and your institutional knowledge got to judge that this is going to work, and they've got to find an offensive line, kind of like the Mariners have got to find a consistent offense that has not been around here for a long, long time. And that's obviously the only way you silence that criticism is to go out and produce.
You kind of joked about this being a must-win game for the Mariners tonight. It's not. It isn't. You could start the year 2-5 at home, and the world won't come to a crashing end. But for all of the conversations we had about how this year a good start would be important, both for the buy-in to the new system, the buy-in to a new manager, the buy-in to, maybe go out and add more, along the way. There are some reasons for a good start here to have some relevance. We've talked about it, how it could be important. Heck, for the fans to be at the ballpark and create the energy and the atmosphere.
Bluebirds already last night.
Oh, you sure did.
First inning, it was loud.
Absolutely. There weren't a lot of them, but there were the people that were there were upset. So a good start is important. We have talked about the importance of the importance and the emphasis that they put on the start. It didn't just come from us; it came from them. The team said, "We want to start faster. We want to hit the ground running in April. We don't want to we don't want to take weeks to get up to speed. We want to start right the way we would be in August." Well, again, you're striking out 10 times a game. You're hitting, coming into yesterday, 175. That number will go up a little bit, but not significantly. A lot of the same problems have continued to come up. So is tonight a must-win with Scooble on the mound tomorrow? No. That sounds, literally to say that is absurd.
Starter, because they didn't have a 4-game opening series.
You sure want to win that game.
Fifth starter versus your ace.
Yeah, you'd sure like to win today.
Yeah, you would.
I'd really like them not to need to be in a position tomorrow already to need to be like, hey, you got to beat Scooble in order to avoid being swept by these Tigers again before you even get out on the road.
And to open the season, you'd like to do the most basic thing, and that's win series.
That's right.
Just win series. And you split it with you're fortunate in many ways to split it. You got out-hit, you got outplayed in many ways by the A's, but you found a way to split that one. You lose tonight, you don't win the series.
Yeah.
And you lose now 7 of 8 to the Tigers over the last, 6 months. So, yeah, like to find a way to win this one. Your ace is going. Logan's got a chance against, I think, this right-handed offense and everything else to do what he can do. And then offensively, you've gotten traction. You were 1 for 10 and 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position over the last couple. You've gotten traction. Go deliver and go find a way to win.
I think all that is about right. Okay, big game tonight. Not must win, but definitely one you'd like to have with Logan Gilbert on the hill. And we're going to watch. Lyle's pointed out a couple times that there does appear to be a little frustration with the Marine layer, not his podcast, but the actual Marine layer keeping balls from. Maybe there's frustration with the podcast as well.
Yeah,
maybe people don't like the new hoodies. I don't know what's going on, but. Just keep watching it because there's a couple things going on that I'm not in love with. All right, you ready to do a little answer the question, Jerk? Let's do it right now.
This is Brock and Salk's Answer the Question, Jerk.
Keep asking questions. Come on, I'll answer them. Come on, I'm here. I'm going to answer your questions, dang it.
Answer my question! The question, jerk!
Well, don't just stand there. Answer the question, jerk!
All right, let's see what the people have today, Brock. Answer the question, jerk. My wife and I are having our first child. Congratulations. End of June. We're having a daughter. I had never dreamt of being a girl dad. What's your best advice?
Go ahead, Salk.
It's a long pause.
I was letting Brock go.
No, you can
I
answer
felt like I'd been
first.
talking for a while.
I mean, I'm almost a grandpa.
What do you mean you're almost a grandpa?
Well, you get married. You know what happens after you get married? Kids can come along.
They can. Sometimes they come along even before people get married.
They can.
I mean, do you need a primer on how that process works?
I mean, I feel like you're in a little more of the girl dad phase, and I'm in like the
Woman dad?
Yeah, getting close to woman dad phase, lady dad phase.
All right, here's the best advice I think I could offer. In the early years, be incredibly supportive and build as much trust as you can so that when they get to the later years, they feel comfortable talking to you about whatever's going on in their life rather than hiding it from you. How's that?
I think that is very wise, and I would sign off on that completely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to do that in the first few years as they're not real communicative.
Yeah,
But
I
they
would actually
feel-
leave the house for the first couple of years, but
Yeah, so
come
did
back
I.
in
I
like 2
love-
years
Haley
and then
falling
start
asleep
building
on me.
that trust.
Macy drooling all over me
Ugh.
as a 6-month-old is terrific. Those were the bonds
No thanks.
that were laid.
No thank you on all that. Also, if you want to practice, I could see if I could get you back in time with Cecily a few years ago, and you could just listen to her scream. We were telling the story because apparently she was really loud at the tournament this weekend of how when she was born, we were Swedish, and the nurse came in to give her a bath. They take her away for like, I don't know, an hour or whatever, give you a little break. The woman comes back holding her at arm's length like hands her to us and is like, that's the loudest baby I've heard in 10 years working here. Good luck. Like, oh, no.
She was in the Simba pose.
Pretty much.
Simba back.
Get this
please.
thing away from me. It's broken an eardrum.
This one rages.
Jerks, would you rather do an ayahuasca retreat or a darkness retreat?
Darkness.
Yeah, same. I'm out on the ayahuasca. No thanks.
Do you get claustrophobic much?
Yeah, a little bit,
You
but
do?
not a ton.
MRI tube?
I can handle it, but I don't like it. I thought no moving is the part that's hard. I can be kind of twitchy.
Oh, in the MRI. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can be a little twitchy. Now it's making me twitch just thinking about it. Twitching all over.
Do you know
the
when you
place.
say lice, you just start to itch your
No,
head?
of
too?
course. How could you not?
You ever had lice?
No, but they had them. I had it in my house. The kids all had it.
Lyle, Maura, you ever have lice?
No.
Oh, look, I just had. Look at that.
Yeah, no, my
It's
head
like a
now itches. I'm
yawn.
doing everything I can not to touch it.
Oh my!
I've never had lice, but I did have
The 9th Street Bandits all had
fleas.
lice, and we all had to shave our head.
Ugh.
It's awesome.
Had fleas once.
What?
Disgusting.
What?
Fleas.
Do you actually put mayonnaise on your head for lice? I feel like I've heard that.
You had
I don't know.
fleas?
Yeah.
I didn't know humans could get fleas.
Well-
There's only dogs.
Well, this was years ago.
If your dog has enough fleas, they can bite you.
Are fleas mites? Are they the same thing?
No, they jump. Fleas are little. They jump. They get all around like your pant leg. Oh, they're disgusting and they itch. Terrible. Yeah.
You had fleas?
I was. It was back in the day, so this is like right after college, where I worked at this spot. I used to go outside. This is when I was a smoker. I'd go outside and rip butts in this one spot where it turned out somebody was feeding a stray cat all the time, and I didn't realize that. And the stray cat brought in fleas, and they came with me to my house. Awful, disgusting.
They loved your hair too. They
Yeah,
got lost in
No,
your
they
pores.
got right in there.
Yep,
They thought
okay.
I was a dog.
Uh-huh.
All right, answer the question, jerks. How many golf clubs have you ever broken while playing, practicing, or in rage?
1.
2. What was your 1?
Big Bertha. And I didn't even drop it hard. It just so happened that the tip and the...
Caught it wrong?
Yep, just caught it wrong. Like, are you kidding me? That was my Big Bertha. I put
Yeah.
a wrap. Like, I love that thing.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Remember, I was with you when I hit that old Nike driver, and the
Yes.
head just went flying off.
Yes.
And I did break one pitching wedge in an after swing when I first started playing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how hard it was then. I've kind of come back to.
You see the Tigers playing in the Masters?
A lot of golf questions today. We've had this one basically, though. Would you rather shoot 85 with a hole-in-one or 72 with no hole-in-one?
No, 72.
That's what I said. The 70 par would be much better than a hole-in-one.
Yes.
Why do
85 with a hole-in-one, you're just lucky. It's just an asterisk.
That's
by
what I
a really
think.
average round. 72 is like you played unbelievable.
But most people disagreed with us when we said that. I said I'd much rather shoot par than a hole-in-one. Like, I might have a hole-in-one. I could have
Anybody
one.
can dumb luck into a hole-in-one.
But an actual, like, I've almost had a couple hole-in-ones. I've never come close to a 72.
Hitting a rabbit in the temple.
Anybody,
and
Brock?
killing it,
I was
making
going to
it
say,
bleed.
you see me swing a golf club. Can
I
anybody
know.
luck into a hole-in-one?
Do you know the odds of killing a rabbit?
I didn't kill it.
Off the tee versus a hole-in-one? Killing a rabbit's like Randy Johnson killing that bird. Not easy to do, Moore, and you did it.
Yeah, because I hit a line drive off the course.
Sure.
I don't think I could hit a hole-in-one.
It was nice of you to call that a line drive. I think most people call it a ground ball, but line drive is nice. Yeah, we'll go.
Oh, well, it was
we'll
hard
go line
enough
drive.
to kill a rabbit, according to Brock.
It was a hard ground ball. I mean,
Yeah,
you
hard
can
ground
still
ball.
hit a ground ball hard.
Yes. You get XVLO 110 on a ground ball.
Still.
The top spin on that sucker hit
Yeah.
it right in the temple and blood flowing from its eyeballs. It's dead on the spot. Dead on the spot.
Jerkaholics.
There was no blood, everyone.
Everywhere.
A little blood.
On the
It's kind of a bloody rabbit.
satellite image showed it.
Brock, this one's really for you. When it comes to a barbecue party, what do you prefer? Charcoal, propane, smoker, Traeger, flat top? And what is the next in outdoor cooking trends, Brock?
Wow, great question. I would say for a barbecue, I'd say the Traeger. Because you're talking brisket. You're talking something that has just been in there. You're talking pulled pork for 20. That is something that just infiltrates the whole scene. Propane tank, charcoal's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Charcoal's good. Flat top, that's a lot of grease spray in it. The Traeger is the one that just brings life to the party. So I'd say that. The next innovation, I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of these homemade big smokers, big homemade smokers welding out there, putting them together. I think that'd be kind of fun.
509 says the fleas couldn't tell the difference between Harry Salk and the cat. I know, I get it. Yeah, what can I tell you? All right, let's see. This one I think I am struggling to answer this one. Hi, Sir Jerks and Ma'am Jerk. Myself and the gorgeous lady I'm seeing are both divorced with kids. How long do you wait to do the intro of the other person to the kids? 3 months, 6 months? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
That's out of my pay grade too.
I would think pretty early though, right? Unless like you've done that too often.
Correct. There's way too many details that we don't have in this case to really weigh in, Your Honor.
We're gonna do it like Lyle and just be like, well, I need more details before I answer anything.
Hey, Lyle.
Lyle, you awake in there?
Lyle, can you make it a goal tomorrow when we ask you a question, just have an answer? Can you learn from the great Grosfather? Even if you don't know, just say it confidently and people will believe it. Have you not learned anything in 9 months on this job?
Sure. There's my confident answer. When you guys ask me a question tomorrow.
Has it been 9 months?
That was a sure period.
How long you been on the job, Lyle?
I think 8, I want to say. 8 months?
Just answer. It's been 8 months.
Has it been 8
Well,
months?
now I'm trying to remember.
God,
8 months.
That's funny. All right, Lyle, you want to answer one? How about
Yes.
chicken fried steak or eggs Benedict?
I'll go chicken fried steak.
Is chicken fried steak the best, worst thing for you? Like, it's got to be terrible, right? I mean,
with gravy.
With the gravy and the fried
sausage
element
gravy.
and the breading and all of it.
Yeah, it's not great.
I don't have it very often, but when you do.
But the eggs Benedict, you know what that did, Salt?
What?
That tipped Molly's gallbladder over the point.
Oh, really? Did
20
she have a
years ago, yeah.
gallstone like Howdy?
No, she had a gallbladder attack. Had to get that sucker out.
The whole
Hauled it.
gallbladder?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah. Big deal.
All right, we got to go.
That's it.
Good questions today, though.
How stoked are you for DJ tomorrow? I'm kind of
Pretty psyched.
Yeah.
Daniel Jeremiah tomorrow. I'd really like the Mariners to win tonight, too. I think that would be
too.
helpful.
It would really
Come in,
really
talk
help.
about a win,
3-3
maybe feel a little
would feel very
differently,
different.
make
Yes.
everyone feel better. All right, Bump and Stacy up next. Looks like Left goes in again for Stacy.
Show.
That's right.
Michael Show.
The Mike's show is next. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. in the Hay
Barn.
See you, everybody.
Get to the chopper!
Fourth down territory. Going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
The NFL is trying to clean up the game. What do they want to emphasize, and how do you feel about it?
The NFL wants to bring in more sportsmanship, and I understand they're saying, look, we want kids watching the game to learn from these guys. And listen, it is a good idea, but the ball player in me says, man, forget all that noise. This is football.
Fourth down territory. Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Rick Riz here for the Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington's Improve Your Play program. Many of our local youth sports teams need help with field enhancements, training, and equipment. Local Pella owners Keith Dashafy and Luke Wilson are stepping up to donate $5,000 to 2 deserving teams. We need your help finding them. Head to seattlesports.com/play to nominate a deserving team in need. Let's help our local youth improve their play this year with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Contest and rules at seattlesports.com/play.
Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found in G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home and make price-boosting upgrades with no cost until close. Once they're done, a local Orchard